Chapter 1, Chapter 1, Death and Reincarnation, rewritten. My name is Shiva. Since childhood, I was never good at anything. No matter how hard I tried, I remained average, just another face in the crowd. My body was covered in fat, making me an easy target for bullies. I wasn't strong, I wasn't smart, and I definitely wasn't good at fighting. School was hell. I had no friends, only my parents, the only people who truly cared for me. They always supported me, encouraging me no matter what. But even their warmth couldn't change the loneliness I felt in this world. The only escape I had was movies and web series. They gave me a world where I could be someone else, someone powerful, someone feared. My favorite character? Ghost Rider. I used to dream of punishing those bullies, of watching their evil souls burn to ash under the flames of hellfire. But dreams were just that, dreams. My reality was nothing like the fantasy worlds I admired. After completing my studies, I finally found peace. My parents and I opened a small bakery, and for the first time, I felt content. Life was simple but fulfilling. One day, I bought a second-hand car, my first real achievement. Excited, I decided to take my parents for a drive. It was supposed to be a happy moment, one of those memories you cherish forever. But fate had other plans. While driving, a drunk man suddenly stumbled onto the road. I swerved hard, trying to avoid him, but the car spun out of control. Crash! We slammed into the back of a construction truck, and before I could even process what happened, a sharp pain pierced my chest. I looked down. An iron rod had gone straight through my body. I could hear my parents screaming my name. Their voices were filled with panic, but they grew fainter and fainter until everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I found myself standing in an empty void. In front of me stood a man dressed in black robes, his expression solemn. "I am God," he said, his voice carrying a strange mix of power and sadness. I stared at him, my mind still struggling to process everything. Then, his next words made my blood boil. "It was my mistake that caused your death." I clenched my fists. "What?" "My love left me," he admitted, looking away in shame. "I was drunk and accidentally fell in front of your car. I take full responsibility, so as compensation, I will grant you 3 wishes and the chance to reincarnate." I took a deep breath. "So, you're telling me I died because of your heartbreak?" "Yes," he admitted, his voice heavy with guilt. For a moment, I wanted to curse him, to scream, to demand justice. But, would that change anything? I let out a slow breath. "Fine," I said, my voice cold but controlled. "Let's get this over with." God motioned for me to step into a glowing circle. As I did, a massive wheel appeared before me, spinning rapidly. I watched as the worlds flashed before my eyes: Marvel, Naruto, Game of Thrones, One Piece. Finally, the wheel slowed down. Click! 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 It landed between 2 worlds, Twilight and the originals. I raised an eyebrow. "So, where am I going?" God gave a small smile. "A fusion of both. A world of vampires, werewolves, and ancient supernatural wars." "Interesting. Now," God said, "tell me your 3 wishes." I didn't hesitate. "For my first wish, I want all the powers of Ghost Rider without another personality or any chains of servitude." God nodded. "Granted." "For my second wish, I want to master all talents." God paused. "That's fine, but you'll have to learn magic on your own. I can't just give you knowledge of spells." "Fair enough." I shrugged. "For my last wish, I want to look like Gojo Satoru from Jujutsu Kaisen while keeping all my memories." God smiled. "A solid choice. Done." With a snap of his fingers, a portal appeared behind me. "Go." he said. Find happiness in this new life. As I stepped through, I heard him whisper one last time. I hope this life brings you the peace you deserve, my friend. Then, everything faded to white. The soft hum of an air conditioner filled the dimly lit apartment, along with the distant sounds of New York traffic. The scent of leather furniture and expensive cologne lingered in the air. Shiva opened his eyes. No. Not Shiva. He slowly sat up, his muscles feeling powerful yet foreign. A large mirror stood across the room, and as he moved closer, a pair of striking sky blue eyes stared back at him. White hair. Chiseled jawline. A body sculpted to perfection. Jojo smirked. Damn. I really am a lady killer. He took a moment to adjust. Lifting a hand, he watched as blue sparks of hellfire flickered at his fingertips before disappearing. His new Ghost Rider powers lay dormant within him, but he could feel them alive, waiting. His gaze fell on a sleek black laptop resting on the desk. Next to it was a wallet. Opening it, he found a driver's license and ID card. Name, Jojo Satoru. Age, 22. Occupation, unemployed. Jojo, hey? Fine. Let's roll with it. Booting up the laptop, he quickly browsed through the internet. After a few minutes of searching, his suspicions were confirmed. There are no famous songs, mangas, or games from my old world. A blank slate. He grinned. Looks like I just found my golden ticket. Without wasting time, he ordered high-end computer parts and began constructing his own custom-built system. Thanks to his mastery of all talents, coding was second nature. For 3 straight days, he worked no sleep, no rest. His fingers blurred over the keyboard, writing millions of lines of code. Finally, on the 4th day, a smooth, feminine voice echoed through the speakers. Hello, sir. I am Sarah, your personal AI assistant. Online and ready to assist you with any task. Jojo leaned back, cracking his neck. Perfect. He smirked. A new life, a new identity, and limitless potential. This world doesn't know what's coming. Chapter 2, Forks, New Orleans, Adam's Family Mansion, rewritten. Forks, Cullen House. The Cullens were staying indoors due to the unusually sunny day. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating the elegant interior of their secluded mansion. Esme and Carlyle sat in the lounge, engaged in a quiet discussion about the Quileute tribe, their concern evident in their hushed tones. Nearby, Emmett and Jess were tangled together on the couch, gaming controllers in hand, completely absorbed in their competition. Jess Hale, Jasper's younger sister in this reality, let out a triumphant cheer as she won yet another round, causing Emmett to groan in defeat before pulling her closer in mock revenge. On the opposite couch, Rosalie and Alice were engaged in an intense conversation about when they would finally meet their mates. Their voices carried a mix of impatience and excitement. Edward sat beside them, wearing a clearly annoyed expression. His golden eyes flickered with frustration before he muttered, I won't change her into a monster. Without waiting for a response, he stood up and disappeared up the stairs to his room. Rosalie's eyebrow twitched. Whenever I see his expression, I want to punch his irritating mouth. Alice shrugged. You know him. He keeps repeating the same sentence whenever we talk about mates. Rosalie folded her arms. I just hope my mate doesn't have this annoying disease. Alice chuckled. Don't worry, you'll soon meet your mate. And I doubt he'll be as broody as Edward. Edith, comfortably seated on Jasper's lap, chimed in. I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. Before Alice could reply, she suddenly froze, her golden eyes unfocused as she slipped into a trance-like state. The entire house went silent. Esme and Carlyle immediately stood up and moved closer with concern. Edward, who had gone upstairs, reappeared almost instantly, his brows furrowed as he read Alice's mind. After a few moments, Alice blinked back into awareness. She sat still, her expression a mix of shock and excitement. All eyes were on her, except for Edward, who shook his head in disbelief. "Impossible!" he muttered, drawing everyone's attention. Alice shot him a glare. "Why are you reading my mind again, Edward?" Edward simply smirked. "Well, you can tell them yourself," he said before turning on his heel and heading back upstairs. Worry edged across her face, asked. "Alice, what did you see?" Alice's lips curled into a wide smile. "I saw mine and Rosalie's mate." A stunned silence filled the room before Emmett, grinning excitedly, asked. "Who are they, and when will we meet them?" Jess nudged him. "Emmett," she said, "both of them have the same mate." Rosalie's golden eyes widened. "Wait, what?" Carlyle, ever composed, leaned forward slightly. "Alice, explain to us what you saw in your vision." Alice took a deep breath. "I saw him standing amidst fire. When our eyes met, his face slowly changed, into a burning skull." Everyone in the room tensed at the eerie description. "Not only me and Rosalie," Alice continued. "But there were 2 other girls with him." Rosalie's expression darkened, her fingers curling into fists. "You mean I've been waiting for him for 80 years, and now you're telling me I need to share him with you and 2 other girls? That pervert! When I meet him, I will not go easy on him." A dark aura radiated around her, and though none of them had met this mysterious man, the rest of the Cullens silently prayed for his safety. New Orleans. Mika Elson compound. The grand chandeliers cast a soft glow over the elegant halls of the Mika Elson estate. The faint sound of classical music played in the background, blending with the subtle creak of the old wooden floors. Despite the grandeur, there was an eerie stillness in the air, an unsettling quiet that loomed over the house. In the spacious kitchen, Haley stood by the stove, stirring a pot of soup while Hope sat on the counter, swinging her legs and chattering away. The young girl's eyes sparkled with curiosity as she asked, "Mom, when will Father visit us?" Haley's hand momentarily tightened around the wooden spoon before she forced a gentle smile. "Hope, you know your father loves you, but things are complicated right now." Hope frowned. "It's always complicated." Before Haley could respond, Hope's body stiffened. Her bright blue eyes turned glassy as her mind drifted into a trance-like state. The spoon slipped from Haley's fingers, clattering against the marble counter. "Hope!" Panic surged through Haley as she reached for her daughter. "Hope! What's wrong?" Receiving no response, she frantically pulled out her phone and dialed Freya. "Freya, it's Hope. Something's wrong." She just froze up, like she's seeing something. "I'm on my way." Freya's urgent voice answered before the line went dead. Minutes later, Freya burst into the room, her expression sharp with worry. She immediately placed her hands on Hope's temples, murmuring a soft incantation under her breath. The energy in the room thickened as Freya probed Hope's mind, trying to decipher what she was seeing. Then, as suddenly as it started, Hope blinked and gasped, her trance breaking. Her small hands clenched against the fabric of her dress. A brilliant smile briefly crossed her face before it faded into a troubled frown. "Hope, sweetheart, are you all right?" Haley cupped her daughter's face, searching her for any signs of pain. Freya stepped closer. "Hope, tell us what you saw." Hope hesitated, then took a deep breath. "I was standing in a beautiful garden. It was peaceful, then I heard laughter, voices talking. When I turned, I saw them, a group of 4. 1 boy and 3 girls, sitting together like they belonged. They looked so happy. But the boy, the moment I saw him, I knew he was important to me." Freya and Haley exchanged a glance, sensing the significance of her words. Hope continued, her fingers gripping the edge of the counter. There was a dying flower near him. He touched it, and suddenly, his hand was covered in blue flames, but instead of burning, the flower came back to life. Then he looked at me, our eyes met, and I felt something powerful. And then I woke up. Freya exhaled slowly, realization dawning upon her. A mate bond. Haley's eyes widened. What? She saw a vision of her mate. Freya turned toward her younger sister with a solemn expression. Due to her strong bloodline, she was able to glimpse the bond before even meeting him. Haley folded her arms, her protective instincts flaring. You're telling me my daughter is bound to someone she's never met? Freya sighed. It's more than that, Haley. He's not just her mate. There are 3 others. Haley stiffened, her voice dropping to a dangerous tone. I won't allow my daughter to be shared. They won't share her the way you think. Freya reassured her. It's different. The bond makes sure each of them is loved equally, like a family, like sisters. Haley's fists clenched at her sides. That doesn't make it any better. Freya placed a hand on Haley's shoulder, her voice softer. This bond isn't something that can be broken, Haley. It's fate. A heavy silence settled between them. Then, Freya's expression turned serious. One more thing. Don't tell Klaus about this. Haley scoffed. You expect me to keep this from him? If Klaus finds out, he'll hunt this boy down before Hope even gets a chance to meet him. Freya warned. And that would devastate her. Unbeknownst to them, Hope had crept toward the doorway. She had heard every word. Her fingers curled into her palm. Her heart pounded in her chest, not out of fear but determination. She would find him. She had to. Adams' family mansion. Morticia Adams and Gomez Adams were eating dinner and discussing some matters while Wednesday was playing with her pet, Homer. Suddenly, Wednesday went into a trance state. In her vision, she saw a handsome boy with attractive blue eyes kissing her adult form. Her adult form looked very happy, and by the look of it, she was in her black wedding dress along with 3 other women in their wedding dresses. The vision ended. When Morticia touched her daughter, she also saw the vision. Chapter 3, I Am Vengeance, rewritten. A week passed. New York. Jojo's apartment. For the past 7 days, Jojo had been preparing his music album and a suitable script for his company, All Entertainment's first project. With Sarah's assistance, he efficiently selected talented crew members and workers. Jojo had chosen to produce Home Alone, knowing how beloved the movie was in his previous world, especially among children. Mike was handling the desk work and other crucial tasks. He had been hired by Sarah after she thoroughly examined his credentials. Sarah, what's the update on our projects? Jojo asked while eating his toast with milk. Sir, our music album will be released today at 3 p.m., and Director Kong is pleased with the script you sent. He wants to start casting the main leads. Sarah, send the profiles of the artists we filtered yesterday to his email and notify him to choose from them. Yes, sir. Sarah replied in her usual calm voice. Jojo sat on the sofa, watching the news while drinking his milk. Suddenly, he realized that he hadn't left his apartment in the past week. Sarah, buy a motorcycle for me. I feel like going sightseeing. He said casually. Sir, I need confirmation on which motorcycle you want. Jojo thought for a moment. Sarah, send me pictures of the top trending motorcycles on the market. Yes, sir. After reviewing the pictures, Jojo's eyes lit up upon seeing a specific model. Sarah, I need this one. He said with a huge grin. Sir, the motorcycle has been purchased and will arrive at 3 p.m. today. What about the paperwork? Jojo asked, knowing he was only 16. Sir, don't worry. I slightly adjusted your age for the purchase. Jojo smirked and continued watching TV until Sarah informed him that Mike was calling. Sarah, connect the call. Connecting the call. Good afternoon, sir. Your album has launched, and the report has been sent to your email. Got it, Mike. Also, oversee the casting process. Director Kong will make the final selections. Yes, sir. Mike responded professionally. Call ended. Sir, your motorcycle has arrived. Jojo headed to the parking lot and signed the registration documents. Despite being only 16, he was 5 feet 8 inches with a lean, muscular build. His eyes sparkled as he admired his new Harley-Davidson. The bike's sleek black and silver design, accented with blue flames at the end of the silencer, made it look utterly badass. He mounted the bike, inserted the key, and turned it on. Ding! Vroom! Vroom! The powerful sound of the engine sent shivers down his spine. He revved the accelerator a few times before taking off at an illegal speed, grinning wildly. As the sun set and the sky darkened, Jojo decided to stop at a restaurant for fried chicken and French fries. While ordering, he noticed a schoolgirl glaring angrily at the receptionist. Curious, he turned to look in the same direction. A woman in a wedding dress sat atop a man who was chatting with another woman. Jojo's brows furrowed. Why is she sitting on top of him, and why is nobody reacting? Then he saw something even stranger. The server walked straight through the schoolgirl as if she weren't there. What the fuck? Jojo blurted out. The entire restaurant turned to stare at him, including the schoolgirl and the woman in the wedding dress. Their gazes locked onto him, and both began walking in his direction. Jojo felt a chill run down his spine. Oh fuck! What have you done, Jojo? How could you forget? You are the Ghost Rider. You can see fucking ghosts. He immediately turned and made his way to the exit, rushing to his motorcycle. Vroom! Vroom! He sped away, but as he was driving, he suddenly heard a child scream. Slamming the brakes, he turned towards the sound. A dark alley. He exhaled sharply before making his way inside. I think it's time for some action. Jojo muttered with a devilish grin. His heart pounded. It was his first time activating his true power. He gulped, knowing what was about to happen. A warm sensation spread through his body. The temperature around him began to rise rapidly. His flesh started melting, and with each step, he left behind fiery footprints. But there was no pain. Only power. Jojo's body burned to a crisp, his hair and skin consumed in an inferno. Now, he saw them, the child, desperately trying to protect his bleeding mother, and 3 gangsters laughing as they continued their assault. Ray! The monstrous roar echoed through the alley. The gangsters and the child turned toward him, their faces frozen in terror. The Ghost Rider stood before them, a blazing skeleton wreathed in hellfire, his eyes burning with judgment. The gangsters stumbled back. What the hell are you? One of them stammered, legs trembling. Ha 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 ha. The laughter echoed through the darkness. Me? I am vengeance. The Ghost Rider clenched his flaming fists, his skull grinning menacingly. And you? You are all guilty. His fiery gaze locked onto them, his judgment burning deep into their souls. The flames of hell had arrived in New York. And tonight, justice would be served. Chapter 4, Look Into My Eyes, rewritten. Kids POV. Come on, Alex, don't stay mad at me. My mother, Jenny, said with a playful smile as we walked down the brightly lit street. I got you cake, didn't I? I crossed my arms and huffed. You promised, Mom. You said we'd spend the whole day together. She sighed, ruffling my hair. I know, sweetheart. Work just got in the way. But I'm here now, aren't I? She pulled out a small box from her bag. And look what I got you. I peeked inside, my eyes widening at the action figure I had been begging for. You got it. My anger wavered as I looked up at her. Of course. She said, smiling. Anything for my little hero. I hugged her tightly, feeling guilty for being mad earlier. Thanks, Mom. No more pouting. She teased. No more pouting. I mumbled against her shoulder. We laughed as we made our way home. But that laughter died the moment we turned into the empty street. 3 men stepped out of the shadows, their grins twisted and cruel. Well, well, what do we have here? One of them sneered, his nose running as he wiped it on his sleeve. My mother's grip on my hand tightened. Stay behind me, Alex. Hey, lady. Their leader said, pulling out a rusty knife. How about you give us your purse? Maybe we won't hurt you. Rage burned inside me. They wanted to rob my mom? I wouldn't let them. Without thinking, I stepped forward and punched the one with the runny nose square in the face. Arg! He yelped, clutching his nose. You little brat! Alex! My mom gasped, pulling me back. The leader's eyes darkened. You'll pay for that, kid. He raised his knife and lunged at me. Time slowed. I saw the glint of the blade. I heard my mother's panicked breath. Then, she stepped in front of me. The knife sank into her stomach. Mom! I screamed as she crumpled to the ground. Tears blurred my vision as I tried to fight back. I swung my fists wildly, but they were bigger, stronger. They knocked me down, laughing as they kicked me. My mother lay bleeding, her breaths coming in ragged gasps. I screamed for help. No one came. The world felt so cold, so empty. Then it happened. A sound tore through the alley, low, guttural, inhuman. The air around us thickened with heat. A wave of fire-lit shadows danced against the walls. The gangsters froze, their laughter dying in their throats. I turned my head, my body trembling from pain and fear. And I saw it. A figure emerged from the darkness, its form wreathed in roaring flames. A skull burning, grinning stared at us with empty, glowing eyes. It wore a black leather jacket over a white shirt, jeans, and boots that left molten footprints on the pavement. One of the thugs stumbled back. What the hell is that? The monster tilted its head before letting out a deep, menacing laugh. Ha 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 ha. The gangsters shuddered. Then it spoke. I am vengeance. Its voice was like an earthquake, shaking me to my core. The gangsters turned pale, their bravado crumbling. For the first time, I saw fear in their eyes. I should have been afraid too. But all I felt was awe. Kid's POV end. Jojo stood still for a moment, the eerie flames on his skull flickering wildly. Then, without warning, he lunged forward. Wait! The thug barely had time to react before Jojo's skeletal hand swung across his face in a brutal slap. The force sent the thug soaring backward like a ragdoll, crashing toward the alley's crumbling wall. But before he could even make contact, his entire body disintegrated into ashes, vanishing into the wind as though he had never existed. The remaining 2 thugs stood frozen in place, their breath hitched in sheer terror. One of them, unable to bear the sight, turned on his heel and attempted to run. In his panic, his foot landed on an old tin can, causing him to stumble and crash onto the dirty pavement. He barely had time to scramble to his feet before Jojo was upon him. In the blink of an eye, the flaming spectre appeared next to him and, with effortless brutality, drove his boot down onto the thug's skull. A sickening crunch echoed in the alley. The body twitched once, then erupted into flames, burning away until nothing remained but a fading ember. The gang leader stood paralyzed, his entire body trembling. The urine staining his pants was the least of his concerns now. He watched, wide-eyed, as the last of his comrades was reduced to nothing but ash. Please. Please don't kill me. The leader fell to his knees, clasping his hands together in desperation. I'll give you the woman. I'll give you the kid. Just let me live. At those words, Alex's breath caught in his throat. His mother, Jenny, gasped, tightening her grip on his arm. Alex, run! She whispered, though her own legs refused to move. Alex looked up at her, his small hands trembling. I can't let Mom die. I have to protect her. He stepped in front of her, spreading his arms wide in defiance, even though he knew he stood no chance against the flaming monster before them. Jojo's skull twisted toward them, his burning eyes narrowing as the gang leader's pathetic plea rang in his ears. Ray! A thunderous roar erupted from his mouth, shaking the very ground beneath them. Jenny flinched, pulling Alex into a tight embrace. Alex clung to her, his body shaking. The sheer presence of the being before them was suffocating, an embodiment of death itself. The gang leader, however, was in a state far worse. His body convulsed as he let out strangled sobs, whispering incoherent prayers to whatever god might still listen. Jojo stepped forward, gripping the leader's throat with a single, bony hand and lifting him effortlessly into the air. The thug's hands clawed weakly at Jojo's wrist, but his strength was meaningless. Look into my eyes. Look. The voice was guttural, demonic, sending shivers down the spines of anyone who heard it. The thug tried to resist, squeezing his eyes shut, but it was pointless. A force beyond comprehension compelled him to obey. His eyes snapped open. At first, all he saw was darkness and endless, bottomless void. Then, one by one, the faces began to appear. The men and women he had robbed, beaten, and murdered. The innocent he had tormented. The lives he had destroyed. Then, the pain began. In the places where he had committed his crimes, the victims emerged, hands clawing at him, tearing at his flesh, raking their nails down to his very bones. He screamed, but there was no escape. His suffering cycled endlessly, each crime relived through the agony of his own soul. From the outside, only seconds passed. Jojo released his grip, and the thug collapsed lifelessly to the ground. His once normal eyes had turned jet black, burned with the mark of judgment. Jojo grabbed the corpse and effortlessly tossed it into a garbage can. Flames ignited from within, consuming the body until it was nothing but ash. Silence. The only sound remaining was the crackle of dying embers and the faint, terrified breaths of Jenny and Alex. Jojo turned to them, taking slow, deliberate steps. Jenny stiffened. This is it. He's going to kill us next. Take me instead. She suddenly blurted, stepping in front of Alex. Please, spare my son. No, Mom. Alex clung to her, tears streaming down his face. I won't leave you. Jojo stopped in his tracks. For a moment, he just stood there, unmoving. Then, he slowly knelt down, his fiery gaze scanning the stab wound on Jenny's stomach. His skeletal hand reached toward it. The flames covering his fingers shifted from searing orange to a soft, radiant blue. Jenny flinched, squeezing her eyes shut. This is it. It's over. But instead of pain, she felt warmth. A gentle, soothing heat spread through her wound. She gasped, eyes snapping open. The searing agony in her stomach was gone. She looked down. There was no wound. No blood. No scar. Jojo examined his own hand, flexing his fingers. Shit. He muttered under his breath. Using the angel's blue flame is too much for my current body. I need to get stronger. Then, without another word, he turned and started walking away. Jenny stared after him, her lips parted in disbelief. Who are you? She finally asked. Jojo paused mid-step. He turned his head slightly, the flames on his skull flickering. For a moment, he considered saying something cool. Something mysterious. Something legendary. But then, I am Ghost Rider, he declared, voice deep and commanding. There was a moment of dramatic silence. Then he scratched the back of his flaming head and awkwardly added. And, Can you keep this whole thing a secret? Like, don't tell anyone? It'd be a real hassle if people started freaking out about a burning skeleton, you know. Jenny blinked. Alex sniffled. Jojo stood there, as if waiting for a response. Jenny slowly nodded. Jojo exhaled in relief. Awesome. Thanks. All right, I'm off. Oh, wait, my bike. He spun on his heel and started walking toward his motorcycle, mumbling. Almost left it behind again. Man, that would have been embarrassing. Jenny and Alex watched in complete silence as the flaming skeleton hopped onto his bike, revved the engine, and sped off into the night, flames trailing behind him. There was another long pause. Alex wiped his tears. That was kinda cool. Jenny let out a shaky laugh, finally collapsing onto her knees. Yeah, it really was. Chapter 5, What Are You Doing Here? Rewritten. When Jojo turned to leave after answering Jenny, he noticed two heads poking out from the alley wall, their ghostly forms flickering slightly. He blinked in surprise. Hey, look, he can really see us. One of the heads said gloomily. Are you the Grim Reaper? The second ghost, a girl in a school uniform, floated completely out of the wall, her hands clasped together in eerie excitement. Jojo fought the urge to react visibly. How did they spot me? Stay calm, Jojo. You are Ghost Rider. Keep your nerves together. Seeing no response from him, the second ghost emerged fully as well. He instantly recognized them. They were the ghosts he had met at the restaurant. What are you doing here? Jojo asked, more annoyed than scared. The last thing he needed was for word to spread among spirits that he could see them. Well, the female ghost in wedding clothes started to speak painfully slowly. We suspected you could see us, so we followed you, but we didn't expect you to be the Grim Reaper. The schoolgirl ghost interjected, her voice still gloomy despite the excited grin on her face. No. I am not the Grim Reaper. I am Ghost Rider. Jojo corrected, rubbing his temples. With his power, he could destroy them, but the thought disgusted him. They weren't sinners. Hurting them felt wrong. That disgust must be from my Ghost Rider side. He mused. Then why did you kill them? The schoolgirl ghost asked, tilting her head curiously. I am the spirit of vengeance. My job is to hunt down sinners. Jojo answered firmly, his fiery gaze unwavering. Mom, that monster, who is he talking to? Alex's voice cut through the conversation. All three turned toward the boy. Idiot, don't call him a monster. His name is Ghost Rider. His mother promptly smacked him on the head so hard it nearly knocked him over. He is speaking to them. Can't you see, idiot? She pointed toward the ghosts. Jojo narrowed his eyes. Can you see them? He pointed toward the spirits. Jenny nodded hesitantly, looking at him with a mixture of confusion and unease. Jojo let out a deep breath before his flames died down, revealing his human form. Jenny gasped as Ghost Rider transformed into a teenage boy, no older than 16 or 17. Hi, my name is Jojo Satoru. He introduced himself casually. Oh, my name is Jenny Anderson. This is my son, Alex Anderson. Jenny responded, still processing what she had just witnessed. Jojo's expression turned serious. Jenny, can I ask you something? When did you start seeing them? What do you mean? She asked, still puzzled. Mom, there's no one there. Alex added, giving his mother a weird look. Jenny _______. The ghosts, meanwhile, were having the time of their afterlife. They stuck their tongues out at Alex, waved their arms around, and made faces at him, none of which he could see. Jenny, however, could, and it was freaking her out. Well, you see, both of them are ghosts. Jojo explained, watching her reaction carefully. What? Jenny screamed, pointing at the schoolgirl, who was currently phasing her hand through Alex's chest like it was an amusement park trick. SHHH. Jojo hushed her frantically. If other ghosts find out you can see them, they'll start swarming you. You don't want that kind of trouble. How? She whispered, trembling as she noticed the wedding ghost now hanging upside down from the ceiling, staring at her. When I used my power to heal you, you gained the ability to see them. Jojo said as simply as he could. Jenny looked at him, completely overwhelmed. Jojo sighed. Let's discuss this at my apartment. We can figure things out there. Jenny and Alex got into their car and followed Jojo to his place. As Jojo rode his motorcycle, he felt an odd sensation. He glanced over his shoulder and there they were. The two ghosts were comfortably seated on his back seat. This is how you guys followed me? Jojo asked, his right eye twitching. Yes, we sat on your motorcycle when you left the restaurant in a hurry. The schoolgirl ghost admitted shamelessly. Jojo sighed. What kind of ghost-related nonsense am I going to deal with in the future? Upon arriving at his apartment, Jojo opened the door. Welcome home, sir. Came a calm, female voice. Jenny and Alex jumped, looking around wildly. Jenny, Alex, meet my personal assistant, Sarah. She's an artificial intelligence. Jojo introduced smoothly. Welcome, Sir Alex and Madam Jenny. I am Sir Jojo's personal assistant. Sarah greeted them in a professional tone. Jenny and Alex gawked at the disembodied voice, bombarding Sarah with questions. She answered each one patiently, like a well-programmed guide. After a few minutes, Jojo cleared his throat. Ahem. The ghosts were already making themselves comfortable on the sofa, watching TV. Well, Jenny, can you tell me a bit about yourself and your family? Before we decide what to do with your powers, I need to know more about your situation. Jojo said, sipping a glass of water. Jenny nodded. In our family, it's me, my husband, and Alex. She explained their situation, talking about their struggles in her husband's career. Then, after a brief pause, she added. My husband is a director, though his movies are, well, average. Jojo nearly choked on his water. Even his wife thinks his movies are mid. Damn. What's your husband's name? Jojo asked, raising an eyebrow. Oh, his name is Kong Anderson. Jojo's face immediately soured. Wait. Kong Anderson? That name sounds, oh no. It hit him like a brick. Sigh, so that dump, is me, Chapter 6, The One Who Sinners Must Avoid. Forks, California. Cullen House. I can't take it anymore. Alice, can you draw me our mate's picture? Rosalie was really bored and impatient after hearing about her mate from Alice. She asked Alice if she could draw their mate's picture for her, even though both of them had the same mate. Unlike Alice, who had the ability to predict, she saw him in her vision. In fact, she was very jealous because whenever Alice wanted to see him, she would have her vision of him and she would start to giggle after the vision. Alice started to draw his picture, and after some time, she completed his painting. Rose, take a look. How is he? Alice asked her while showing Jojo's picture. Even though every time I tried to draw him, I feel it's not perfect, Alice thought to herself. When Rosalie saw Jojo's picture, her eyes widened and she was left mesmerized. Her eyes were glued to Jojo's portrait, and she didn't utter a single word. You can't take your eyes off, right? Even though it looks like a perfect portrait of him, I feel it's perfect. Everyone in the house who heard the conversation between Alice and Rosalie came to her room to look at Jojo's portrait. While everyone was looking at the portrait, Jasper was standing a little away from Rosalie with a painful expression because he was currently feeling Rosalie's strong emotions. He looks handsome, Esm said, and Edith and Jess nodded their heads. _________. Well, he looks like an interesting guy, Emmett said with a grin. You will be in my room from now on, hee hee. After saying this, Rosalie laughed mischievously. Everyone was happy while looking at Rosalie, who was speaking to her mate's portrait. If I were her, I wouldn't change my mate as an empty shell, Edward, who didn't notice the atmosphere, said with a plain expression. ______________________________________________________________________________________________________________ There was pin-drop silence. The next second, the room was filled with killing intent. What did you say? Rosalie started to fume in anger. Others started to calm her down while Edward stood as if it had nothing to do with him. While they were having this conversation, suddenly Alice started having a vision. When the family noticed this, they became serious and patiently waited for Alice's vision to end. After the vision ended, Alice started to draw another painting without paying attention to her surroundings. After finishing the portrait, the room was once again filled with silence. What is this, Alice? Carlyle, who saw the picture, narrowed his eyes. Esme and the others also looked at Alice for an explanation. It's him. Mine and Rose's mate, Alice said with a wide smile. Everyone, including Rosalie, was shocked when looking at the portrait. In the portrait, they saw a man with no flesh on his body, his whole body on flames, wearing a white t-shirt, dark black leather jacket, and blue jeans. He was lifting a man by his neck, and the man's face was terrified. He looks very dangerous. We must avoid him at all costs. Edward was the first one to break the silence. Alice, who heard this, frowned, and Rosalie almost attacked Edward. Emmett and Jasper held her back. Stop! Esme raised her voice, and no one spoke. Carlyle went to his library and started searching the books for any information on Jojo. As he was searching an old book, his eyes landed on a certain page. He took the book and went to Alice's room. To his surprise, Edward and Alice were arguing while Jasper and Emmett held Rosalie. Carlyle, we must avoid him. He will endanger. Before Edward finished his sentence. Edward, do you have any idea who he is? Carlyle, who heard Edward, said coldly with a serious expression, which shocked everyone present, including Esme. Because Carlyle had never spoken coldly in front of his children. Don't read my mind, Edward. Carlyle warned Edward before he tried to read his mind. Edward was left speechless. Before he could leave for his room, Carlyle looked at him with a look that said no, you don't. Carlyle opened the book he was carrying and placed it on the desk, then started to explain. As you guys can see, Rose's and Alice's mate is the spirit of vengeance. He is a being who is a myth among myths because the story about him is known only by 1 or 2 people among the ones he saved. He doesn't have enemies because the ones who face him have never escaped his clutches wherever they go. Every supernatural being who committed unforgivable sins considers him their worst nightmare. Even gods avoid him, fearing he will punish them for their sins. Carlyle said with a serious look, explaining to everyone. Then Before Edward could finish. We don't have to worry about him because we are redeeming our sins. The book states that he will not hurt the ones who have truly redeemed themselves before meeting him, Carlyle answered. Jasper, who was standing beside Rosalie, had a sign of relief because he was really scared by the description of Rose and Alice's mate. But one day, the spirit suddenly vanished, leaving a word that he will be back with flesh and blood. When Carlyle turned to the next page, there was one sentence in bloody red color that caught everyone's attention, the one who sinners must avoid. So, Edward, remember this. Don't ever show this immodest attitude to him. Even I can't save you. Everyone had sweat on their backs. After saying that, Carlyle left the room. Following Carlyle, Edward also went to his room without saying anything. Honestly, with this attitude, he doesn't deserve a mate bond. It will only hurt his mate, Rosalie said with annoyance, surprisingly with no one retorting. Chapter 7, Helping the Ghosts. New York. Jojo's apartment. Jojo, Jenny, and Alex are sitting on the couch, looking at the two ghosts standing before them. Even though Alex can't see them, he sits with his mother. "Why are you guys following us?" Jojo asked, tasting a lollipop in his mouth. Both ghosts stared at each other, and the schoolgirl stepped forward to tell her story. "My name is Isabella. I lived with my father. My mother passed away when I was born. So, my father was the one who took care of me. He worked as a receptionist at the restaurant where we met. He showered me with love. Even though we were poor, he took care of me like a princess. One day, my friends and I made a bet to go to the construction site at night for exploration. I thought it was the happiest day for me because it was my first time going out without informing my father. It felt like I accomplished something," she said with a bitter smile. "When we reached the top of the building, we looked at the view from the top. But, my leg slipped due to an iron rod, and I fell from the top, before I could realize what was happening." Tears came from her eyes, but they vanished before they could fall to the ground. "I was standing before my lifeless body when my father came to the site. He was devastated seeing me in this condition. I couldn't bear seeing him like this, so for some reason, I didn't go to the afterlife. I followed him all these days. He changed, he drinks every day, takes drugs every day. Please, I beg you, brother, tell him to stop doing this and tell him this was my last wish," she said, bowing her head. Even though Jojo had only known her for a short while, he felt pity for her. Jenny, who had listened to the story, started crying. Alex also sobbed, even though he couldn't hear Isabella. His mother explained to him. After Isabella's explanation, Jenny and Alex decided to go home, while Jojo warned Jenny to act normal and not show that she could see ghosts when any ghost was near her. After they left, Jojo turned and looked at the ghost in the wedding dress. I want justice," the ghost said with a serious look. _____________________________________________________________________________________________ I was cheated by my fiancé for my inheritance. After our marriage, on our wedding night, he stabbed me to death. Jojo looked at her blankly. "Why are you looking at me like that?" she said, covering her face with her hand. Jojo's right eye twitched. "That's your story?" he asked with a weird smile. "Yeah," she said while floating upside down. "What does she think I am, Santa Claus? Telling him your wish without proper explanation and expecting the wish to be fulfilled?" Jojo thought, massaging his temples. "Sarah, what's the time?" Jojo asked Sarah. "Sir, it's 10:30 p.m. Shhh, guys, let's continue tomorrow." "Let me rest," he said tiredly to the ghosts and went to his bedroom and slept. Next day. "Sir, it's 8:30 a.m., it's time to wake up," Sarah started to wake Jojo from his sleep. When he opened his eyes, he saw Isabella and the wedding ghost floating above him, looking at him without even blinking. "Ah! Ouch, it hurts," Jojo screamed and fell from his bed, hitting his head on the table beside the bed. "What are you doing in my bedroom, floating above me?" he asked, rubbing his nose that hit the table. "We were bored, so we were looking at you while you were sleeping," Isabella said, tilting her head. Jojo freshened himself up, prepared breakfast, and started to eat it while watching TV. "Isabella, let's go to your house to meet your father," Jojo said, watching his TV. "Thank you, brother," Isabella said while bowing her head. When Jojo moved his empty plate to the wash basin, he noticed Isabella and the wedding ghost still floating above him, looking at him without blinking. Jojo arrived at Isabella's house. It was a small house with cracks here and there. The door was wide open, and when he looked inside, there was no one there. After some time, he saw a man who was drunk and babbling to himself. Isabella informed Jojo that the man is her father. "Sir, are you Isabella's father?" Jojo asked him. The man's eyes widened as he looked Jojo up and down while holding a bottle in his hand. "Who are you? How do you know my daughter?" he said, trying to stand steady. "I am here to tell your daughter's last wish to you." She. Before he could finish his sentence, the drunken man suddenly became angry. You bastard! Guys like you dare to make money using my daughter's death," he said angrily and started to throw bottles and stones at Jojo. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. Sir! Ouch! Ah! Jojo started to run from Isabella's father. After escaping from him, Jojo thought, "That drunken bastard calling me a bastard. If it weren't for Isabella, I would have inserted that bottle in his ass." While chasing Jojo, Isabella's father fell down and lost consciousness. Seeing this, Jojo lifted him and moved him towards Isabella's house, placing him on the bed. After waiting for nearly 6 hours, he woke up. You are still here." When the man tried to get up, Jojo sat next to him. "Before you make any decision, please listen to me one time, sir," Jojo said with a fake smile and twitching eyebrow. Before he could answer, Jojo continued his explanation about Isabella to him, lying about his power to see spirits since birth. At first, he didn't believe Jojo, but when Jojo explained about things that only he and Isabella knew, he slowly started to believe him. "Your daughter's last wish is for you to stop drinking, taking drugs, and move on from her death." When Jojo said this, Isabella's father's eyes widened, and he started to cry and promised in front of her photo he will never drink alcohol. Suddenly, Isabella turned into sparkling golden light and moved towards the sky. Some of the light started to enter Jojo's body, and he started to see Isabella's entire life from her birth to death within a few seconds. Chapter 8, Bloody Sweet, Revenge. New York. Jojo arrived at his apartment and saw Jenny, Alex, and Kong waiting for him at his door. When they saw him, they looked at him weirdly. "What are you guys doing here?" Jojo asked, confused. "Why are they looking at me like that?" he thought. "Mr. Satoru, thanks for saving my wife and son yesterday," Kong said sincerely. "No need to thank me, Mr. Kong. As a law-abiding citizen, it's my job to bring sinners to justice," Jojo said, touching his nose. When he looked at Jenny, she looked extremely tired with dark bags under her red eyes, looking at him like a savior. Last night must have been very difficult for her, she looked like a dead fish, Jojo thought with a pitying look. He invited Jenny and the others inside after opening the door. When they entered the house, the wedding ghost who was inside approached them and looked around Jojo. When she didn't find Isabella's ghost, she smiled at him. "Welcome home, sir," Sarah said professionally. "Holy shit! Where is the voice coming from?" Kong was surprised and looked around. "It's AI, Dad." "Don't be so surprised," Alex said proudly, lifting his chin high. "I know about it. Your dad even created one for his university project," Jojo said, pointing to Kong, who was standing like a statue. Underscore 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 underscore. "I know." When he said that, he received a deadpan look from all three of them. "Jojo, I couldn't sleep last night after visiting you yesterday. Can you help me?" Jenny said, hiding the fact that she can see ghosts to avoid her husband mistaking it for a mental illness. Underscore 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 last night, visiting you. There was a short circuit inside Kang's brain. "Did you tell him what happened yesterday?" Jojo asked, pointing his finger at Kong, who was standing still. "What happened, yesterday?" Kong couldn't believe his ears. "No," she replied, and Kong immediately jumped in front of her, grabbing her shoulders and shaking her violently. "Kong, what are you doing? Jenny asked with an irritated look. Jenny, I can't believe you cheated on me. Kang's IQ was long lost when he first heard Jenny. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. Slap, thud, slap, bang. There was a series of cries for help before Jojo, but he didn't dare to move because an angry bear was beating Kong black and blue. After some time, a man whose face was swollen and damaged like a tomato was sitting opposite Jojo. It was none other than Kong. After Alex and Jenny gave some explanation. You're saying he's not human but something called Ghost Rider, whose job is to punish sinners, Kong said with a mocking smile, looking at Jojo, who was getting ready to go somewhere. Mom, he won't believe what we're saying unless he sees it with his own eyes, Alex said while drinking the milk Jojo gave him. Guys, I have an important meeting. I have to attend to, Jojo excused himself from them. Jenny understood and picked up Alex. Kong bid farewell to Jojo. Jojo went to his motorcycle and started to drive, asking the ghost where her fiancé was. She led him to an old garage. When he entered the garage, his eyes frowned when he saw a group of 10 people drinking blood. You are vampires, the ghost replied before Jojo could finish his sentence. Underscore underscore underscore. Suddenly, every vampire present looked in his direction, sniffing the air. Look, we have extra snacks, one of the vampires said. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. The laughter of every vampire echoed inside the garage. Come here, sweetie. I'll do it without any pain, one of the women said, licking the blood on her fingers. Caroline, don't play with your food, one of the vampires said mockingly. Jojo didn't panic. There was an iron chain on top of an old barrel, and he took it with a wide grin on his face. He started to transform into his Ghost Rider form instantly. When the vampires saw him transform, they took a few steps back vigilantly. What are you? One of the vampires, who was close to Jojo, asked, taking a few steps backward. There was no response, and silence filled the garage. Step, step, step. Each time Jojo took a step, the vampires took a few steps back. Jim, I don't believe he can beat us. Let's attack him together. Everyone, let's attack together. Even if he's a monster, we are superior vampires compared to this lowly scum, one of the vampires with a bald head said, placing his leg on one of the dead bodies. Blatty, I thought you had no brain. Sometimes even you give some useful ideas, the vampire sneered, looking toward Jojo. But Jojo wasn't there. When Blatty turned his head, his eyes widened, and subconsciously, he punched towards Jojo's face. But both of his hands were caught by burning fists. Ah! Under the gaze of every vampire present, Blatty was shouting in agony while struggling to escape Jojo's grip. His body started to burn to death. When the female vampire tried to escape in panic, her body was restrained by an iron chain burning in dark red flames. She started to scream. Caroline! Jim tried to help her. Before he could reach her, Jojo pulled the iron chain, and Caroline's body started to crumble. Ray. Bloody sweet, ha ha ha. Jojo's laughter filled and echoed throughout the garage. Let's attack him at the same time. All the other vampires jumped towards Jojo from all directions. Good choice. But wrong guy. Jojo said indifferently and swung his iron chain with hellish flames, hitting all the vampires who attacked simultaneously. When the chain touched the vampires, they turned to ashes in the next second. After this, Jojo's attention shifted towards Jim, who was in a shocked state due to the death of his lover, Caroline. Next, you, Jojo said, slowly walking towards Jim, leaving behind scorching footprints. Chapter 9, Next, you. Kang's POV. After my family and I left Mr. Sadaru's house, we entered my car. My wife and son persistently bombarded me with their bullshit. Who in their right mind would believe their story? Even though Mr. Satoru saved them yesterday, they must have been traumatized by their experience. I must take them to a psychologist before their illness becomes serious. Especially my wife, that demoness. She's already crazy, and now if she becomes mentally ill, there is a chance she will kill me in my sleep. When I looked at my wife, who was sitting beside me, smiling at me, I felt chills run down my spine. Before I started my car, my wife said, "Darling, can you wait for a few minutes," while touching my hand. _______. What happened to her? Why is she suddenly being nice to me? I pretended to be normal with my charming smile, but I couldn't look into my wife's eyes. After some time, the sun started to set, the sky became dark, and Mr. Satoru came and sat on his motorcycle. He started speaking to himself for some time. I should recommend him a psychologist too. He must have some pressure on him due to his work. Dad, follow him. He must be on his way to punish sinners. Hurry up, hurry up. Alex persistently urged me. Alex, stay quiet. We should not follow Mr. Satoru, I scolded my son. No, we must follow him. Then you will believe what we told you is true. This time, to my surprise, it was Jenny who said this. _______. I started to follow without speaking a single word. If I were to reject her suggestion, this demoness will skin me alive. When I started to follow him, my wife and son went crazy, speaking to themselves like, "Today which sinners will be punished?" When I heard it, chills ran down my spine. This is crazy. Did my wife and son have become followers of some dark cults? Mr. Satoru entered an old garage, and we followed him from a distance. When we got near the garage, there were small holes in the walls. We peeped inside the hole, but what I saw was a group of people drinking human blood. My legs started to shake, my lips started to tremble in fear. When I looked at my wife and son, they were watching the scene with expectant looks towards Mr. Satoru. I should call the cops. I think this is the base of some crazy cult. When I was ready to make a call, I saw a scene that I will never forget. Mr. Satoru suddenly changed into a burning skeleton and started to kill the people who were drinking the human's blood. I was afraid, nearly wetting my pants. When I looked at my wife and son, they were looking at the scene with stars in their eyes. _______. So, what they told me is true. Kang's POV ends. Next, you, Jojo said, slowly walking towards Jim, leaving behind scorching footprints. Jim, who was in shock, finally came back to his senses. When he looked around, he didn't find any of his companions. Where did they go? He asked himself, confused. To hell, Jojo, in his Ghost Rider form, said, and moved in front of Jim in a second, grabbing his neck and lifting him. Jojo, don't kill him immediately. Do the same thing you did to the guy in the alley. Wendy Ghost, who was silent this whole time, came near Jojo and requested him. You don't have to remind me. Jojo said and grabbed Jim's chin tightly to prevent him from moving. Jim's face was filled with horror. Look into my eyes. Jojo said, while grabbing his chin tightly, bringing his face close. Jim's soul was tortured by the victims he killed, and his eyes changed to dark charcoal with burning marks on them. Thanks, Jojo. The ghost said, bowing her head. At least tell me your name. Jojo asked her. Nancy, she said, and turned into golden light particles, ascending to the sky, some of it merging with Jojo. Jojo also got to see Nancy's memories. So he married her for her position, which is in charge in this area, he thought, and walked out of the garage. Jojo, you rocked! Alex shouted excitedly, jumping around him. underscore 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 underscore. Jojo transformed back into his human form and looked at the embarrassed Jenny and shocked Kong. Are you human? Kong asked hesitantly. What do you think? Jojo asked, blinking his eyes innocently. Devil, Kong blurted out. Jenny punched his head and walked towards Jojo. Jojo, we came to watch your fighting, she said, embracingly. Your husband knew about it, he pointed towards Kong, who was standing still. Yet, he didn't believe. That's why we brought him here, Alex said, looking at his father with a mocking look. Sigh, what's with this fucking day? Jojo massaged his temples with a grim look. Mr. Satoru, what are you? Kong asked again, seeing that his wife and son were not afraid. Call me Jojo, Mr. Kong, and I am the Ghost Rider. My job is to punish sinners, he patted Kang's shoulder. 2 months passed. Kong and Jojo became friends because of their loose mouths. Jenny now works for Jojo as his personal assistant, even though he has Sarah, but she is an AI. He needs someone for the vacancy. For some reason, wherever he stays, the ghosts will not appear within his property without permission until he roams freely outside. The one enjoying it the most is Jenny. She had the best horror experience for continuous 5 days and came to Jojo like a zombie, carried by Kong. Seeing her condition, Jojo felt guilty. He was the reason for her to suffer like this, so he recommended the job to her after finding out about it. Suddenly, Alex came running while holding the comic book Ghostbusters. He showed it to Jojo enthusiastically. Jojo, I have an idea. We can create an organization that solves supernatural cases. So, you can even find and hunt sinners from other places, Alex said with a twinkle in his eyes. This kid, each time he reads a comic about a superhero or a hero who creates a group, he will come here and persistently convince me, Jojo thought. Sir, I think you should consider his suggestion, Sarah suggested professionally. Underscore 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 underscore. Chapter 10, Chapter 10 Devil May Cry. Sir, I think you should consider his suggestion. Sarah suggested professionally. Underscore 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 underscore. What do you mean, Sarah? Jenny, who was doing some paperwork, asked in confusion. Jojo also waited for Sarah's answer because he knew Sarah wouldn't suggest something that was not possible. Sir, you stated your doubt that whenever you hunt down sinners or help a spirit ascend to heavens, you feel a little stronger than before. If it's true, Alex's idea can help you increase your power, Sarah explained her opinion. Jojo went into deep thought. For the past 2 months, I have helped some ghosts and hunted sinners in my Ghost Rider form. But whenever I help a ghost or hunt sinners, I feel somewhat stronger than before. I noticed that when I hunted those vampires, I felt my physique was greatly enhanced. After that, I didn't encounter any of them again. After that, I encountered some sinners, but all of them were humans. Shy. After thinking for some time, Jojo continued, You are right, Sarah. Whenever I hunt sinners or help a ghost ascend to heavens, I get stronger. Jenny gave her opinion. It will be interesting. Then, what should we name our organization? Jojo asked while writing his script for his next movie project, named Titanic. Jojo had already released 5 albums, all of which had an excellent response from the audience. He had become famous, especially among women. Even the All Entertainment Company started producing other successful albums. The shooting for Home Alone was 60% complete, so Jojo started writing his script for his next movie project. How about Ghostbusters? Alex said with a twinkle in his eyes, pointing to the comic book he was holding. I think Ghost Hunters will be more suitable, Jenny said while continuing her work. Ghostbuster is way better than that, Alex retorted. Jojo thought, even though Ghostbuster is a good name, let's wait for some time before naming. Sarah, create a website for our organization and a new email for it, along with contact info in case they need to call us, Jojo instructed Sarah. Sir, the website is created. What should be the name of the organization? Sarah asked Jojo. I can't think of any name now, Sarah. Let's leave it for now, Jojo replied and gave the comic book back to Alex. After finishing his script, Jojo sent it to Mike and asked him to get the rights for the script in Jojo's name and find a suitable director. Money was not a problem, as Jojo could borrow black money from the underground. Sarah, can you find a place with a lower population, away from the city? Jojo asked while brewing black tea for himself. Yes, sir. Jojo, are you moving out of the city? Alex asked with a sad face. He and Jenny were staying at Jojo's apartment because Kong went to France for filming Home Alone. The main reason was that for some reason there were no ghost problems at Jojo's house, so Jenny could have a peaceful sleep without worrying. Jojo, are you really moving out? Jenny also expressed her shock at Jojo's decision. If I stay in a famous and important city like New York, I can't freely use my powers. It's better to move to a secluded place before creating any problems, Jojo explained while looking at them. Is that so? The mother and son duo said, looking sad. Why are you guys sad? You guys are moving with me, Jojo laughed at them. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. Did you forget, Jenny? You are my personal assistant. Even if you stay here, there is a high chance that ghosts will appear before you. Remember, we still haven't encountered any evil spirits. Jojo explained, handing a cup of black tea to Jenny, then sitting on the couch and enjoying his tea. Sir, I finalized 15 places where the population is low, either in forests or in areas with low population. Do you want to move there? Sarah asked to confirm his decision. Yeah. Sarah, buy some land in the forest and build a big house in my name. Also, build another house near our house on our land and register it in Jenny's name, Jojo instructed. Sir, it will take a few months to build. If we go on full swing, can you choose a model for your houses? Sure. Jojo said lazily. Jojo started looking at the models with Jenny and Alex by his side. Sarah, this one looks better. What about you, Jenny? Jojo turned towards Jenny, who was also looking at the models. I like this one, Jenny expressed her choice. Sarah, take care of this, Jojo said lazily. Yes, sir. After some time. Sir, the process is completed, and the construction work will begin tomorrow, Sarah informed Jojo. Sarah, let me know if any client contacts us for any supernatural cases. Yes, sir. How much will we charge for solving supernatural cases? Alex asked, his eyes filled with dollar symbols. We will be charging based on our client's financial situation. Money is not a problem, Jojo assured him. Jojo took a last glance at the comic book in Alex's hand and said, let's name our organization Devil May Cry, DMC. What do you think? Jojo wrote the name on the whiteboard with a red marker, along with the symbol of the organization. It's a good name, Jenny nodded her head with satisfaction. Yeah, the symbol is also very cool, Alex gave a thumbs up. It's confirmed, Sarah. Name our organization Devil May Cry, and this is the symbol, Jojo instructed. After Jojo's order, Sarah scanned the symbol Jojo had drawn, digitized it, recreated it, and sent it to his email. This is perfect, Sarah, Jojo nodded his head in satisfaction. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review and Power Stone. Chapter 11, Arriving at Forks. France. Director Kong, we have completed 70% of our shooting. Is there any reason for our tight schedule? One of the crew members asked while preparing for the next scene. Other members also became interested. Yet. Our producer and scriptwriter, Mr. Satoru, wanted to release this movie on Christmas to make a good impact on the audience, Kong explained to them. Jenny and Alex must be missing me. After completing the movie shooting, I must take them out and spend some time, Kong thought while lost in his thoughts. Ring. 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 His mobile phone started to ring. He picked it up. Hello, Kong here, he answered his phone call. Kong, how are you? Are you busy? Jenny, I was just thinking about you. Kong, we are moving out from New York to California Forks. Wait, with whom? Jojo. What? We are building our home there. Wait. A small portion of our income will be deducted monthly until we settle the account, and there will be no interest. When? We are moving after the construction is finished. Dad, we are going to a new home. Alex shouted with excitement from where he was drawing with his pencil. Click. 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 Before Kong could say something, the call ended. Am I the only one missing them? He thought while looking outside the window. After 4 months. Forks. Cullen's house. Alice and Edith were sitting and chatting about Edward's recent strange activities after Alice had a vision about Edward's mate. Why are you guys even considering his activities strange when he always acts strange? Rosalie said with a mocking face while listening to one of Jojo's albums. Rosalie, he is our brother, Edith retorted. While they were talking about Edward, suddenly Alice started to have a vision, and her face beamed with happiness. Rosalie, Jojo is arriving in Forks today. Alice said while jumping happily. ______. Rosalie was stunned for a moment, and her eyes became teary. Jojo and the others arrived at the airport and took a cab to Forks. When they arrived at the new house, Jenny, Alex, and Kong went to their house next to Jojo's house. When Jojo entered his new home and looked around, he realized that for the past 4 months, he hadn't even found a single supernatural case for DMC. He had hunted some sinners, and his Home Alone movie would be released this Christmas. Jojo started to clean his new house, and Jenny helped him while leaving the cleaning of their home to Kong and Alex. After some time, his motorcycle was also transported to his new home by external transport. Thanks for the help, Jenny, Jojo said while moving one of the couches to the right position. Don't mention it, Jenny smiled and walked towards her home. Suddenly, she stopped and looked towards Jojo. Hey Jojo, your work is handled by Sarah, me, and Mike. Kong and Alex are going to school to enroll him. Why don't you also enroll in the school to pass the time, she said and went to her home. Yeah, I know. I already sent an application to Forks High School and got accepted, Jojo said with a chuckle. Who in their right mind would want to miss the drama between EMO King and EMO Queen? Jojo put on his jacket and took his motorcycle for a ride to familiarize himself with the new environment. Forks, here I come. Jojo increased his speed because there were no vehicles on the road. Suddenly, he heard a siren sound coming from behind. Vee-woo! 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 Jojo turned his head and noticed a police car behind him. Perfect! He stopped his motorcycle on the side of the road and waited for the police officer. The police officer had a mustache, curly brown hair, chocolate brown eyes. He stood about 6 feet tall and had an average build with dark brown hair. Young man, do you know how fast you were going? The police officer said with an authoritative tone. But Jojo gasped. He is legendary Charlie Bella's dad. In his previous world, he read many fanfics of Twilight. In almost half of the fanfics, the MC needs to pass through his checkpoint. He is like a detector for transmigrators. Jojo stood from his seat and awkwardly scratched the back of his head. I am sorry, sir. I just moved here. The road was empty, that's why I increased my speed, sir. Well, young man, be careful even though the road may be empty, they are constantly exposed to rain. So there is a high chance of drifting your motorcycle and ending up causing an accident. Charlie reprimanded Jojo for half an hour. I will let go of this incident. Next time, I have to inform your parents. Jojo nodded his head. I will drive safely from now on, sir. Jojo gave his innocent smile. Did I ever meet you? I have a feeling I have seen you somewhere, Charlie questioned him. I was quite famous for my albums. You must have heard my name, Jojo Satoru. Jojo introduced himself. Nah. Underscore. Where do you live, for safety purposes? Charlie asked while noting Jojo's information in his pocket notes. Jojo gave his address and invited Charlie to his house for a cup of tea, but he refused. After Charlie left, Jojo sighed in relief. Jojo sat on the seat of his motorcycle and started driving towards school. Forks High School, home of Spartans. Jojo entered the school without noticing that there were two pairs of eyes looking at him from different windows. Jojo went towards the receptionist. His figure caught the attention of everyone because he was famous for his albums. He went to the receptionist and took the letter from his jacket, handing it to the receptionist. Here to register for classes. Name, the receptionist asked. Jojo Satoru. After hearing the name, the receptionist woman looked at Jojo's face and became shocked. Her attitude took a 180-degree change. She took a class schedule for Jojo's class and gave it to him. He grabbed the class schedule. When he was about to leave, Mr. Jojo, can you give me your autograph? The receptionist woman took a notebook and asked with a smile. Sure. Jojo gave her his autograph. This was my first time giving an autograph, he thought to himself. He left the school building. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review and Power Stone. Chapter 12, Vision for Help. When he left the school building, more students started to gather outside. All eyes were on him as he approached his motorcycle and sat on the seat, looking towards the Cullens' car. After some time, the Cullens started to appear. Emmett and Jess appeared as a couple, followed by Jasper and Edith, holding hands. Rosalie and Alice walked behind them. Here comes Emmett and Jasper. Their mates are different. I think Jasper's mate is Edith, the female version of Edward. If this is true, then the plot is messed up. And Emmett's mate also looks like someone I don't know, Jojo thought to himself, lost in deep thought. Suddenly, Jojo noticed Rosalie and Alice walking behind them. Even before he realized it, he started to stare at them without blinking. When Alice and Rosalie noticed his gaze, they turned to look in his direction. Suddenly, a person blocked Jojo's view by standing between him and his sister. It was none other than Edward. Underscore. He must be possessive of his sister in this world, Jojo thought. He started his motorcycle and left in the direction of his new home. Alice and Rosalie's POV. Rosalie, I saw Jojo. He arrived 5 minutes before through the window, Alice said while holding Rosalie's hand. What? I saw him too through the window. When I saw him, I wanted to jump out of the window and go to his side. Poor Jasper had a bad time because of my emotions, Rosalie said with a chuckle. When they crossed the reception area, the receptionist was talking to her boyfriend about how she got Jojo's autograph. When the two looked at the women in the reception, Jasper started to avoid them due to their extreme emotions. As they walked towards their car in the parking lot, they felt a gaze on them. Although they were usually the center of attention, they felt the urge to look in the direction of the gaze. When they turned, they saw Jojo staring at them with his attractive blue eyes, while his hair moved lightly in the wind. Alice and Rosalie both stopped in their tracks. Just as Rosalie was about to lose control, suddenly Edward appeared before them, blocking Jojo's view, and stood in front of them. He looked intensely at Jojo. Edward, you appeared at the right time. I would have lost control otherwise, Alice said with a sigh. Yeah, thanks, Rosalie also thanked him. I can't read his mind, Edward said while he was looking at the figure disappearing in the distance. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. After reading their minds, Edward went to the car without saying another word. I thought he blocked the view to help us prevent losing control, Rosalie said, her right eye twitching. That's just how he is, Alice said while rolling her eyes. Let's wait and see what he does when he meets his Bond tomorrow, Rosalie snorted. Why are you talking about his mate tomorrow when our mate will come to our school? Alice asked, walking as if she were gliding on air towards the Cullens car, followed by Rosalie. Cullen's house. Alice happily jogged to the sofa with a smile on her face, followed by Rosalie, who also seemed to be in a good mood. Esm, do you know what? We met Jojo at school today. Alice couldn't control her excitement and went straight to Esm. I nearly lost control when I looked at him, Rosalie said sadly. Even though Alice was also Jojo's mate, she controlled herself better than Rosalie. So, Rosalie felt jealous and sad that she might hurt her mate. Don't worry, Rose. You'll get the hang of it, Edith, who entered the house, said while comforting her. I'm not fully in control, just slightly better than you, Alice also reassured her. The others also consoled her. Carlisle also came home from work. When he noticed everyone talking about Jojo, he raised an eyebrow and asked, "Can I know what you're talking about?" Alice happily explained how she and Rosalie met Jojo at school. When Carlisle heard it, he smiled and looked at both of his daughters happily. He knew how they had suffered all day with a longing for their mate. What about Edward's mate? Did he meet her? Esm asked Edith. No, she didn't come to school today. She might come tomorrow, Edith said while looking at Alice. Yeah, she'll come tomorrow, Alice added. I will go and warn the Quileute tribe not to cause trouble for Jojo. Emmett, come with me. Let's visit them, Carlisle said as he was about to leave. Carlisle, why are you trying to help him before even meeting him? You said he is powerful. Why don't you let him solve his problems? Edward said, looking annoyed. Underscore 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 underscore. Edward, why do you always say something negative about him? Alice asked, clearly unhappy. His power didn't work on Jojo, that's why, Rosalie said with a mocking smile. Underscore 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 underscore. Edith and Jess tried hard to control their laughter. Emmett, being Emmett, laughed straight in Edward's face. I am doing this not because of Jojo. It's because of the Quileute tribe. If they offend him, there's a chance he might hunt them, Carlisle explained to the others. Jojo's house. Jojo was sleeping on the couch when suddenly he saw a group of 5 women tied with a rope, crying for help. They were surrounded by people wearing dark black masks that covered the lower half of their faces. There were strange symbols on the ground, and skulls were present. Some were chanting strange spells. The vision ended, and Jojo woke up, looking around. He had been sleeping on the couch. He had a feeling that his instincts would take him there. He hurriedly put on his jacket. Sarah, I'll be out for a hunt, he said and went towards his motorcycle. Have a good hunt, sir. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 13, Quileute Tribe, Cullen's Warning. Carlisle's POV. Emmett and I went to the Quileute tribe to warn them not to provoke Jojo. When we reached the border of the Quileute tribe, we were stopped by a few shapeshifters. Stop there at once, don't move forward, one of the Quileute tribe men said cautiously, eyeing us. We are not here to cause any problems, I said, raising my hand. Behind me, Emmett stood on guard. State your reason for coming here, the man demanded, his wolf shifters in wolf form still on alert. We are here to meet the Quileute tribe's leader, I replied, paying no mind to the man's attitude. The man turned to one of the wolves, who nodded and dashed off toward the Quileute tribe settlement. Wait here, our men will inform the tribe leader about you, the man said with an expressionless face. End of Carlyle's POV. Quileute tribe settlement. All elders and important members of the tribe were gathered for a meeting, wearing serious expressions. The tribe's alpha, Sam Yuli, looked at the shapeshifter responsible for the group during yesterday's patrol with a grim expression. Did you find any leads regarding the missing individuals? He asked, his anger evident. Sam, we can't find them. Even with our heightened senses, we can't locate their whereabouts. It's as if they vanished into thin air, the man replied, his face filled with despair, unable to meet Sam's gaze. Listen, Ted. Someone kidnapped not one, but 5 teenage girls from our tribe last night while you were on patrol, Sam said sternly. We warned you about the special new moon happening today. You guys let your guard down. What does this mean, Sam? One of the elders exclaimed, showing no mercy. What do you mean, special new moon? Ted asked, his confusion apparent. Sigh. This special moon is very dangerous for us shapeshifters because beings corrupted by the sins they committed lose their peace. During the special new moon, which occurs every 50 years, these corrupted beings try to release the dark forces sealed away with a seal known as Unforgivable Seal, Billy Black explained, disappointment etched on his face. What does that have to do with us? Ted asked, his confusion deepening. On that day, if a shapeshifter were to sacrifice in the ritual, one of the dark souls from the seal would take over their body and attempt to spread their dominance, Billy explained, each word causing Ted's expression to turn grim. Suddenly, a wolf entered the meeting room and transformed into his human form. What happened, Jacob? Billy asked his son, who had hurriedly entered the meeting room. Carlyle and Emmett from the Cullens want to meet our tribe's leader, Sam, Jacob informed his father. The meeting room fell into silence. Do you think the Cullens have something to do with the disappearances? One of the elders broke the silence, voicing his doubts. No. I don't think so, Billy refuted their reasoning. They have proven their desire for peace over the years, so the chances of them being involved are very low, Sam added, sharing his thoughts with the others. We can't trust those bloodsuckers, Jacob sneered with disgust in his voice. After some discussion, Sam and the others decided to meet Carlyle and Emmett. Sam and Jacob went to the location where Carlyle was waiting for them. Emmett, call the others here. I sense something is wrong, Carlyle noticed the strange behavior of the Quileute tribe. Emmett, hearing Carlyle's words, nodded and looked at the wolves in front of them before speeding off. After some time, Sam and Jacob arrived at the meeting place where Carlyle was waiting for them. The other Cullens also arrived. Why do you want to meet me, Carlyle? Sam asked with an emotionless face. We came here to warn you about someone you shouldn't provoke, Carlyle said seriously. Who? Sam asked, raising an eyebrow. Jojo Satoru, Carlyle mentioned Jojo's name without hesitation. Can you give us a reason why you're trying to protect him? Sam asked, raising an eyebrow. He is the spirit of vengeance, Carlyle said, narrowing his eyes. What is that? Jacob, who stood behind Sam, asked, his face reflecting surprise. Did you just say spirit of vengeance? One of the elders, who had been following Sam, walked slowly towards them, his face filled with shock. Yes, Carlyle nodded in response to the elder. Impossible, the elder exclaimed. What do you mean? Sam asked the elder, confusion evident among the other wolves as well. The spirit of vengeance is a being who hunts sinners, but there is no proof that he actually exists. Even among supernaturals, he is considered a myth among myths, the elder explained to the tribe members. Is there a chance he is involved in the disappearance of our tribe members yesterday? Sam asked, as if he had solved a puzzle. When Alice and Rosalie heard this, they assumed attack positions, but Carlyle intervened, stopping them. "No, I don't think so. But he might be able to help us, and it's unwise to disregard someone like him," the elder voiced his thoughts. "We have many men with us, and he is just one person. We can force him if he doesn't help us," Jacob suggested his idea to Sam. ________. You can try, but don't expect him to remain silent. He would turn the Quileute tribe into a myth, Carlyle warned before leaving the place. "Carlyle, why are we going this way?" Jasper asked, as their house was in the opposite direction. "We are going to Jojo's house," Rosalie and Alice said simultaneously, feeling Jojo's presence in the direction Carlyle had indicated. "Are we going to warn him, Carlyle?" Ez asked while moving beside him. "No, we will stay hidden in the forest. If the Quileute tribe tries anything stupid, we need to stop them before it's too late," Carlyle explained his plan to the others. They approached Jojo's house and stayed hidden in the forest. After some time, the Quileute tribe also arrived and took their position on the other side, hidden in the forest, observing Jojo's house. ****. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 14, Unknown Cave. Collins and the Quileute tribe were observing Jojo's house. They noticed that Jojo was sleeping inside the house. After some observation, Sam decided to have a talk with Jojo. As he was about to move towards the house, he and the Cullens noticed that Jojo was awake. Suddenly, Jojo came out of his house and sat on his motorcycle, ready to go somewhere. Jojo looked in the direction where the Cullens and the Quileute tribe were hiding. The Cullens and the Quileute tribe, who were hidden in the forest, were shocked to see that Jojo was able to sense them. "What are they doing here? Did they come here to investigate me? Even if they knew, they can't do anything to me," Jojo thought and transformed into his Ghost Rider form. Jojo looked at his motorcycle and started to laugh loudly. "Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha!" When Jojo touched the petrol tank of his motorcycle, the flames from his hand started to slowly spread through the motorcycle. The motorcycle began to change. The tank changed its color to silver ash, and the headlight changed into a menacing-looking skull with fiery eyes and mouth. Both tires were burning with flames. "Shall we start the hunt?" Jojo asked the motorcycle, which had transformed into a menacing-looking motorcycle. The motorcycle, as if it understood Jojo, turned its head towards him. Vroom! 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 Jojo's motorcycle answered him with the strong revving sound of its engine. Jojo sat on the motorcycle and started to move towards the direction of the 5 teenage girls who were shouting for help. The speed of the motorcycle was very fast, and the Cullens and the shapeshifters following him couldn't catch up. In an unknown cave. "Please, please, leave us," one of the girls pleaded while looking at the men around them. Laughter filled the cave as men wearing strange pure white cloths, with their eyes fully black and their faces covered with a black cross mark and a black mask on the lower half, surrounded the girls. They carried strange weapons and had unique skills, which allowed them to easily kidnap the 5 girls. "Don't worry, now you're going to be free," one of the men reached his hand to grab the girl's neck. Upon seeing this, the other girls started to scream for help. "Don't waste your energy. Even with your tribe's heightened senses, they won't be able to find you," he said and started to drag the girl towards the ruins, binding her hands and legs. In front of the girl, there was a huge black skeleton emitting a black mist. When the girl saw the skeleton, she screamed in fear, tears streaming down her face. The other men surrounded the ruins and began chanting spells, holding hands. The leader, who had dragged the girl, took a huge sword and placed it near the girl's neck, lifting it high to decapitate her. Vroom! They heard the sound of a motorcycle. Everyone looked confused because why would a motorcycle appear in the deep part of the forest? "Hey, go and see what the sound is," the leader ordered one of the guards who was guarding the girls to investigate. The guard nodded and went towards the entrance of the cave. He looked left and right, but there was no one present. When he was about to return, vroom! Once again, the sound was heard. When he turned back, he was hit by Jojo's motorcycle and sent flying into the cave. As the leader was preparing to decapitate the girl, one of the members who had been holding hands and chanting spells was hit by the guard who had been sent flying by Jojo's motorcycle. When they looked at the guard, his body part between the legs was damaged beyond recognition. The burn started to spread, and the guard screamed in agony. When everyone looked towards the entrance, Jojo arrived, riding his motorcycle slowly and parked near the four girls, whose hands were tied with iron chains. "Please, don't kill us," one of the girls said with a trembling voice. Jojo looked at them and turned towards the ritual, gazing at the girl who was tied at the ruins. "Who are you? What's your purpose here?" the leader asked, and the others took battle positions, holding their weapons, axes and swords. When Jojo looked at them, he felt disgust and anger because he had never seen someone with so much sin before. Even the vampires he had hunted back in New York didn't have this much sin. Each one of these guys had so much sin. "My purpose is to harvest you," Jojo pointed his finger towards the leader and everyone present there, except the girls. There was a moment of silence. The leader gave a signal to the others through eye contact. Suddenly, 5 members threw ropes that surrounded Jojo and lit up in green color. "You can't escape the hold. It's not a normal rope, it's coated with a binding spell. No one can escape from it," the leader said with a mocking smile. Ray. The flames from Jojo's body spread rapidly through the rope and reached the person holding the other end. They caught fire and started screaming. They couldn't let go of the rope, as if something was stopping them. Jojo easily freed himself and walked towards the ruins. No one stopped him. Each step he took, they moved away from him. Jojo freed the girl. "Go and free your friends." As he said this to the girl, the leader of the group stabbed Jojo from behind. The girl was scared and ran towards the girls, freeing them from their chains. At that moment, the Cullens and the Quileute tribe arrived at the scene. They were shocked to see the cave and the girls standing in the corner. **. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 15, Chapter 15I. AMA Party Spoiler. When the Cullens and the Quileute tribe arrived at the site, they were shocked, especially the Quileute tribe. When they entered the cave, they suddenly felt the presence of the missing girls inside. As they moved deep inside the cave, they saw 5 girls standing in the corner. They also witnessed one of the guys stabbing Jojo from behind. "Jojo!" Alice and Rosalie shouted when they saw Jojo being stabbed. The leader of the group removed the sword from Jojo's back with a smirk. "Now what will you do, Skullhead?" he said with a grin. But when he looked at his sword, his face turned ugly. The sword had melted and was in a partially molten state. "Is it funny?" Jojo turned towards the leader and placed his hand on his bald head. The leader started to scream, and when the others tried to attack Jojo, the Quileute tribe and the Cullens joined in and subdued them. When 2 men tried to escape, Jojo's motorcycle blocked their path. Jojo looked at the 2 attempting to escape and swung his chain at them. They burst into flames and turned to ashes in seconds. After killing the 2 men, Jojo turned towards the rest of the captured group members. "Ray. Move your asses, stand together," Jojo said with anger and disgust while looking at them. They immediately stood together upon hearing Jojo's command. "Perfect, say cheese." Jojo took his chain and caught everyone together, increasing the temperature of the burning chain. They cried out in agony. Their bodies slowly started to crack due to the intense heat and turned to ashes. Jojo maintained the temperature of the chain to prolong their agony. When Sam and the other shapeshifters saw this, they gulped and made a mental note to never mess with Jojo. The Cullens, even though they knew Jojo would kill the group members, were still taken aback by witnessing him hunting them down and making them suffer. They inwardly realized that Jojo was not their enemy. After turning the group members to ashes, Jojo turned towards the leader, who was screaming and holding his head, which had a burning mark. Jojo lifted him by his collar. "What are your plans with this ritual?" Jojo asked with a cold tone. The leader, with a face full of fear, looked at Jojo. We are planning to cleanse this world of disgust by weakening the seal with the blood of shapeshifters," he said with a trembling voice. "Even if you kill me, one day they will come to this world and cleanse it," he said with mad laughter. "Some crazy cult shit." Jojo thought and grabbed the leader's neck, lifting him up. "Look into my eyes." The victims that the leader had killed appeared one by one and tore his flesh from him with their bare hands, torturing him as he had tortured them. After some time, Jojo threw the lifeless body of the leader to the side, and it started to burn. Jojo turned towards the large skeleton emitting a dark aura. Suddenly, its eyes emitted a red glow, and a voice came from the skeleton. You! The skeleton screamed in anger. "You spoiled my plan. You will pay for it," the voice filled with hatred. "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. What to do? I am a party spoiler." Jojo laughed loudly and lifted both hands towards the skeleton. Jojo tried to burn the whole skeleton, but to his surprise, when his flames touched it, it turned into silver-white colored flames. There were many screams from the burning skeleton, and the black mist completely left the skeleton. Then cracks appeared, and it blasted into tiny particles. The Cullens and the Quileute tribe looked at the scene with their ears closed due to the screams coming from the skeleton. Jojo looked around for more information but found nothing. "You destroy this place." Jojo pointed at Sam and left the area, sitting on his motorcycle and driving away. "Ted, destroy this place," Sam ordered, looking in the direction where Jojo had left. "And tell everyone in the tribe not to provoke him and to treat him well," Sam gave his order to others in a serious tone. He didn't want Ghost Rider to visit his tribe for hunting. Did he go a little extreme? Edith broke the silence among the Cullens. "They deserved it," Rosalie said with a proud smile. "I agree with you," Alice nodded in agreement. __________. That's why I warned them. Now you understand, Edward, Carlyle said while looking at Edward. Edward nodded and went to explore the cave. Jojo arrived at his house and transformed back into his human form. He felt much stronger than before after the hunt. "Where did you go in a hurry?" "I got a call from Mike. Director Lin accepted to do your next script," Jenny said, handing him the document. "I went to give my blessing to the poor sin souls with the taunt." Jojo signed it and went to his bedroom. Quileute Tribe Settlement. Sam and the others returned with the girls who went missing. After settling this matter, there was another meeting, this time about Jojo. "What do you think about him, Sam?" one of the elders asked while massaging his head. "Like the elders warned, he is unstoppable. I think we should not mess with someone like him," Sam told them with a serious look. "When he killed them, we could only watch from the sidelines while swallowing our saliva." Sam started to sweat while thinking about it. Everyone in the meeting was lost in deep thought. "I ordered everyone in the tribe not to cause any trouble for Jojo Satoru. We should have a good impression of him," Sam said to the elders, explaining his order. No elder questioned his order, they all wanted to do the same thing. **** Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 16, First Day Class. Next day, Jojo woke up later than usual because he couldn't sleep peacefully. His whole body and the bed were covered in sweat. "What the FK?" Jojo exclaimed in surprise when he saw both pupils in his eyes glowing silver ash color. He wiped his eyes with his hand and looked back at the mirror, but the silver glow was still present. When he thought about opening the water pipe, it automatically turned on. Jojo splashed water on his face and looked at the mirror. He took a towel and wiped his face, trying to calm himself with a deep breath. After a few seconds, he opened his eyes, and they returned to normal. Killing them has increased my strength, and I feel something inside me has changed, he thought while taking a shower. After getting ready, he hurriedly took his motorcycle. Shit, being late on the first day. I have counseling with the teacher on the very first day. I need to arrive at the school before the period starts, Jojo shouted while driving his motorcycle in a hurry. Forks High School. Jojo parked his motorcycle and entered the school building in a rush. You are late on your first day, a man at the reception said. Jojo looked around, wondering where the woman from yesterday had gone. Cough, cough. I am talking to you, young man, the man said with an irritated voice. Sorry, sir, I was lost in thought, Jojo apologized. Before the receptionist could continue, Jojo excused himself and walked towards the classroom, opening the door. The entire class's attention was on him. The teacher raised an eyebrow and put his hand on his waist to show dominance. You are Jojo Satoru, right? The teacher asked with a stern tone. Yes. Jojo said, adjusting his hair properly. Why are you late? He questioned Jojo with narrowed eyes. Sorry, I'm late, sir. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to go the long way, Jojo said with an innocent face. The teacher and others gave Jojo a deadpan look. Take your seat, the teacher pointed to the seat in front of Bella, who was annoyed by Eric Yorkie's constant approaches. Jojo started to listen attentively to the English class. After a few minutes, Jojo was peacefully sleeping, leaning on the desk. The teacher looked at Jojo with a twitching right eye but didn't bother to wake him up. He continued the lesson as if he hadn't noticed Jojo. After the English class, the next subject was government, followed by trigonometry, during which Jojo continued his peaceful slumber. Finally, it was PE, and he played basketball. The PE teacher asked Jojo to join the school's basketball team, which he rejected. After the bell rang, he stood up and headed to the cafeteria. He found an empty table and sat down with a plate full of food in front of him. Everyone in the cafeteria was looking at him. Bella was suffering while sitting with Jessica, Eric, Mike, and Angela. They were gossiping about Jojo and casting glances in his direction. He looks perfect. I will make him my boyfriend, Jessica said, while fixing her hair and staring intently at Jojo. Suddenly, Jojo felt a shiver down his spine. He tried not to care about Jessica's staring, but he couldn't ignore her intense gaze for the past 5 minutes. Wait, Jojo was sitting in. Before Eric could continue, the Cullens entered the cafeteria. Thanks, buddies. You guys saved me, Jojo silently thanked them in his mind. Under the gaze of everyone, the Cullens slowly started walking towards Jojo with confusion, curiosity, and excitement. When Jojo noticed they were approaching him, he looked at them, confused, and glanced left and right. Shit, I was sitting in their regular place, Jojo thought to himself. When they reached him, Jojo looked at them. Is this your regular place? Jojo asked while scratching the back of his head. Yes, this is where we regularly sit, Emmett said with a smile, giving a curious look. Well, sorry. I will move to another table, Jojo said with a smile. I am Jojo Satoru, he introduced himself, extending his hand to Emmett. I am Emmett. This is my girlfriend, Jess. And they are my sisters Alice, Rosalie, Edith, and my brothers Jasper and Edward, Emmett introduced himself and his siblings to Jojo. When Jojo shook hands with them, he felt a low-voltage current pass through him when he shook hands with Alice and Rosalie. Jojo was shocked, while the other two were giggling at his reaction. Cough, cough. When Emmett coughed to get their attention, he was elbowed by Jess. Jojo came back to his senses, and as he was about to move to the empty table, Alice caught his arm and pulled him to sit next to her. "You don't have to move. Sit here. There is plenty of space," Alice said with a broad smile, still holding his hand. Others also didn't mind Jojo's presence. When Edward was about to speak his thoughts about Jojo sitting with them, he was pushed aside by Rosalie, who sat next to Jojo and held his other hand. Jojo blinked both of his eyes. "Holy shit! I thought I would get either Alice or Rosalie if luck was in my favor, but I didn't expect to have both of them. Oh God, thanks for blessing me with this much luck." Jojo was jumping with happiness in his mind. "Ladies, if you allow me, may I finish my food?" Jojo asked with an awkward smile. Both Alice and Rosalie removed their hands with a blush while looking down. When Emmett looked at the shy Rosalie, he couldn't help but taunt her with a silly grin. "Hey Rose, this is the first time I've seen you behave like a lady," Emmett said, and Jess pulled his ears, trying to control her laughter. Rosalie sent a death glare at Emmett. If Jojo wasn't there, she would have launched her fiery attack on him. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 17, Sitting with Cullens. While Jojo was eating his food, the Cullens were looking at him. Jojo felt a sense of killing intent from all over the cafeteria. Why are they looking at me like I killed their little brother? Jojo looked at the other boys in the cafeteria. "Jojo Satoru, where are you from?" Edith broke the silence by asking him while holding Jasper's hand. "Call me Jojo. I am from New York," Jojo answered her while gulping his food. After that, the Cullens started to chat with Jojo, and the awkwardness between them was gone. While they were chatting, Edward was looking intensely in a different direction. Finally, he started to assault Bella with his emo look, Jojo thought as he looked at Edward and Bella, who were staring back fiercely with the same emo look. "Do you know who we are, right?" Emmett asked Jojo with a serious look. Once again, silence filled the table. Rosalie and Alice also wanted to ask him this question because they had met him yesterday when he was fighting those unknown warlocks. Everyone except Edward, who was mesmerized by the fellow emo looking at Jojo, waited to hear his answer and how he viewed them. "I know who you are. Yesterday, we met at the cave. Do you not recognize me? I am a little different when I transform," Jojo said with a smirk. "What do you think of us?" Alice asked while looking down and holding his shirt tightly. "Beautiful," Jojo blurted out while looking at Alice's nervous expression. ___________. Alice's cheeks flushed like a rose when she looked at him. Ahem. I mean, she looks beautiful, like a cute pixie. Jojo tried to cover what he said, but his brain short-circuited when he saw her expression. When Rosalie noticed what he said, she became happy and a little jealous of her sister, hearing Jojo complimenting her. She didn't want to lose to her sister, who had taken the lead. Jojo finished his food and excused himself from them. "Rose, this is your chance. Ask him, Rose." "He will leave now." Rosalie hurriedly stood from her place and moved towards Jojo when he was about to leave the cafeteria area. "Jojo, wait," Rosalie called him, not so loudly but loud enough for the entire cafeteria to hear, while hurrying towards him. The entire cafeteria became silent, looking at both of them intensely, including the emo pair. The Cullens also didn't expect Rosalie to act like this. Rosalie, what happened?" Jojo looked at Rosalie with a gentle smile. "What do you think of me?" Rosalie didn't waste a second, closed her eyes, and asked Jojo. _________. Shit, dude. You just complimented Alice and left like that without speaking to your other mate. My instincts are screaming, answer her wisely, Jojo thought with a sweat drop from his head. You look really beautiful. If you have a boyfriend, he will be the luckiest person in the world, Jojo didn't think much and said straight to her face. Rosalie looked at him with a red face, looking at him affectionately. Before she could lose control, she left the cafeteria in a hurry with a red face. Suddenly, Jojo received double the killing intent from the boys in the cafeteria. Jasper's face became pale, and he left the cafeteria in a hurry. In the next class, biology, Jojo saw the iconic scene where Edward and Bella were sitting together. After the class was over, Edward ran off like Cinderella, leaving behind a confused Bella. It looks even stranger in real life, Jojo thought while looking at them. He continued his sleep in his next class, Spanish. This time, Bella wasn't in the same class as the previous one. Instead, Alice and Emmett were in the same class with him. When Alice saw Jojo, she pulled him to the seat next to her. Emmett was sitting behind them. Jojo, I didn't expect us to be in the same class as you, Alice said with a bright smile. Hey, buddy. How is your first day? Emmett asked him from behind. Yeah. I like this school, Jojo answered him while turning back. The class finished, and Jojo, Emmett, and Alice left the class and met with the rest of the Cullens. When Rosalie saw Jojo and Alice walking together, she took Jojo's one arm. Noticing Rosalie, Alice also took his other hand. Jojo excused himself and went to his motorcycle and left the school. When Jojo entered his home. Welcome home, sir. Sarah, did you find anything on the symbol I gave you this morning? Jojo questioned Sarah. Before he left the home in the morning, he asked Sarah to investigate a symbol he found on the face of the leader. Sorry, sir. I didn't find anything about the symbols, Sarah gave the results of her analysis. While Jojo was chatting with Sarah and drinking water, Jenny entered the house with a phone in her hand. Jojo, Director Lin will start shooting for the next project in a week, she informed him. Where is Kong? Jojo asked her. Oh, he went to a TV show, she answered him. How is your school? She asked him curiously. Well, it's like a normal school, Jojo answered her lazily, lying on his couch. Forks Forest. The three figures were standing at the border of the Forks Forest, about to enter the forest. They were moving with incredible speed. James, this place is under the Cullens. Are you sure you want to enter Forks? Laron, one of the vampires, asked with a little bit of hesitation. Those vegetarians can't do anything to us, James replied with a smug look on his face. James, I feel something very dangerous to us present in Forks. My instincts tell me that if we provoke him, it will be our end, Victoria warned James about the danger she was feeling from Forks. Don't worry, we will do some hunting and leave. Speaking of which, Alice was with the Cullens, right? James said menacingly with an evil smirk. All three vampires entered Forks and stayed in the forest. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 18, First Case. Next day. Jojo woke up early in the morning and went for a jog. After jogging and doing some light exercises, he jogged back towards his house. When he entered the house, Alex came to him energetically. Jojo, I made friends on my first day of school. What about you? He said happily. Yeah, I made some friends too. Jojo answered him while wiping the sweat off his face. When will we get the first case for DMC? Alex asked with expectation. It will take some time. We need to be patient, Jojo ruffled Alex's hair. Alex told Jojo about his experience on his first day. In Alex's view, Jojo is someone who is an idol and a big brother figure to him. Sarah, any updates? Jojo asked casually. Sir, Mr. Kang's interview starts at 5 p.m. today. Mr. Lin is starting his audition today. Sarah gave a list of updates. Sir, the first case has been registered for DMC, Sarah informed Jojo immediately. underscore 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 underscore. Jojo, we got our first case. Let's go there, Alex shouted in excitement. Calm down, Alex. We must first look into it. Jojo looked at the information given to him by the employee. What is our first case about? Jessie, who was making breakfast, asked him curiously. Jojo started to read about the case. After some time, Jojo looked at Alex and Jenny, who had expectant looks. It's quite far away from here, and you're not coming to solve the case, Jojo said, looking at them and pointing his finger at Alex. Why? Alex retorted. According to the case information, the one we will be investigating is targeting kids. That's why, he answered while eating the breakfast Jessie had prepared. Sarah, inform them that we have accepted the case. Jenny, call them and speak to them for more information. Tell them my message, not to do anything to investigate until we arrive, Jojo said with a spoon still in his mouth. After eating breakfast, Jojo took Alex with him to drop him off at school before going to Forks High School. Forks High School. The rain threatened to come any moment. In the parking area, Bella was standing in front of her rusty old truck, waiting for the Cullens to appear. She hadn't slept well the previous night because of Edward's weird behavior towards her. She was holding her books tightly, contemplating confronting Edward about his behavior. I don't think I smell bad, maybe he is very sensitive to smells, Bella thought. While she was lost in her thoughts, a jeep entered the area, followed by a red car. Jasper was driving the jeep, while Emmett was standing in the middle, and Edith was sitting beside Jasper. Jess was standing with Emmett. Alice and Rosalie exited the red car and took a glance at Bella and the place where Jojo would park his motorcycle. Bella, she heard someone calling from behind her. When she turned around, she saw Tyler Crowley standing with Mike, Eric, Jessica, and Angela. What are you doing? Tyler asked her, while the others looked at her. Bella, with an awkward smile, showed her open book and turned away. When she looked at the Cullens, they were walking towards the stairs. Vroom! Suddenly, the Cullens stopped, and everyone looked in the same direction. Bella looked in curiosity at the same direction. She saw a handsome young man with silver white hair and attractive blue eyes entering the parking area and parking his motorcycle next to her truck. When he dismounted his motorcycle, the Cullens smiled at him. Alice and Rosalie started walking towards him. Hey, Jojo, Jessica, who was beside Bella, suddenly greeted Jojo and tried to flirt with him. Hey, Jojo casually greeted her back. Before Jessica could continue her flirting, Rosalie took Jojo's hand and pulled him towards the other Cullens, while Alice held his other hand. Jojo and the girls joined the rest of the Cullens and went towards their respective classes. How can that bitch take him like that? Jojo will be my boyfriend. I will make sure of it, Jessica cursed Rosalie, who had pulled Jojo away from her. Meanwhile, Bella was looking at Jojo and the rest of the Cullens as they walked away. The classes went on as usual. Jojo noticed that Jessica was lightly trying to force her way towards him, but Alice prevented her and gave her regular death glares. Jessica could only retreat and nervously bite her nails. After the morning class, at the cafeteria, Jojo was sitting with the Cullens and eating his food while they looked at him. Jojo, give me your number, Alice asked him, to which he gave his number. Rosalie also noted his number. Where is your brother? Jojo asked Alice. He is in Alaska, Alice said, looking at Bella. Is something happened? Jojo followed Alice's gaze and asked, even though he already knew the answer. She is his mate and also his singer. So, to gain better control of himself, he went to Alaska, Edith explained to Jojo. Oh! Jojo, are you free tomorrow? My parents want to invite you to our house, Rosalie asked with expectation, and the others also looked at him for his answer. Well, sorry, Rosalie. I got a case this morning, so I need to go there to solve it. Maybe after I return. Jojo apologized to Rosalie and stated his reason for rejecting her. What do you mean? The Cullens became interested when Jojo mentioned something about solving a case. I am the head of the Devil May Cry organization. Our job is to solve supernatural cases, Jojo said dramatically to them. How many members are there in your organization? Jess also asked curiously. Currently, 2, Jojo said with a smile. Underscore. Just 2 members. Alice and the others asked with a deadpan look. Underscore. We just established our organization 5 months ago, Jojo explained to them. Where are you going to solve the supernatural case? Rosalie asked him with concern. I am going to Derry. This is our first supernatural case, and it's a big one, Jojo explained to her. How long will it take? Alice asked with a sad look. 3 to 4 days, I think, Jojo replied casually. Can I come with you? Rosalie asked while looking down. Me too, Alice also wanted to tag along. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 19, Going to Derry, Georgie missing. When Alice and Rosalie heard that Jojo was going to Derry to solve a supernatural case, they wanted to tag along with him. The other Cullens also became interested when they heard about it. No, Alice, this case is special. The one our DMC is going to solve is someone who feeds on fear. The stronger the victim, the stronger it gets, Jojo said with a serious look. The one you're mentioning, can it even hurt us? Emmett asked with a mocking smile. I don't know all the details about it, but its strength lies in the victim's fear. Its favorite targets are children, Jojo patiently explained to them. After eating lunch, Jojo went to attend his remaining class with Alice and Emmett because they were in the same class. After the class, Alice persisted in asking Jojo to take her with him. Later, Rosalie also joined Alice, she also wanted to come with Jojo. Jojo looked at them and thought for some time. Carlisle won't allow his children to go to troublesome places. Okay, but only if your parents allow it, Jojo said to both of them, confident that Carlisle wouldn't allow them. Jojo took his motorcycle and left the school. Cullen House. Esme and Carlisle were talking about the recent activities of the Quileute tribe. They had lowered their patrol on the side of the forest where Jojo's house was located. Carlisle was keeping tabs on the movements of the Quileute tribe because he feared that this pack of wolves might make any foolish decisions regarding Jojo. While they were discussing this, they heard the sound of a car parking near their house. Looks like they've arrived, Esme said with a smile. Esme, Carlisle. Both Alice and Rosalie entered the house, shouting their names as they entered, followed by the others. What happened, Alice, Rosalie? Carlisle asked, raising an eyebrow. Carlisle and Esme were curious to see their daughters in such a hurry. Jojo will leave Forks for 3 to 4 days, Rosalie said with a sad look. We want to accompany him. He said we need to get your permission before that, Alice said with an enthusiastic smile. Carlisle and Esme looked at their daughters, who wouldn't accept no for an answer. They didn't know what to say to them, so they looked at the others for an answer. Esme, Jojo has another job solving paranormal cases. He's going to Derry to solve one of those cases with his organization, DMC, Emmett explained to them. How many members are there in Jojo's organization? Esme asked with interest. Well, 2, Jasper said, surprising them. Underscore. And this is their first case, Edith said while folding her hands together and leaning on the couch. Do you guys know what he's going to investigate? Carlisle asked seriously. Because even though Jojo came to Forks recently, after his arrival, the enmity the wolves showed towards them greatly reduced. It's like Jojo brought a balance by coming to Forks. Not only that, he's also the mate of not one, but two of his daughters. His daughters wanted to follow him to Derry. Carlyle wanted to know more about this case. Even though he knew Jojo was far stronger than them, he wanted to make sure before making a decision. We asked, "We're interested in this case," but he warned us that the one he's going to investigate is something that feeds on the fear of its victims. The stronger the victim's fear, the stronger it will get. Its favorite targets are children, Emmett said excitedly. Even though they had lived for many years, they lacked entertainment, so whenever something interesting happened, they would easily become curious. "Let's visit him." "What do you say, Carlyle?" Esme also became interested after hearing his explanation. 3 days before, Derry. A boy named Bill Denbrough was posting missing posters of his little brother, Georgie Denbrough, who went missing while playing with his paper boat. Days passed, but there was still no news about Georgie. In this small town of Derry, there were many cases of frequent child disappearances. Even Bill's parents had lost faith that their son would be found, except for Bill, who was still searching through Derry and coming up with his own theories to find Georgie. Bill searched every day after school with his friends Richie Tozier, Eddie Kaspbrak, and Stan Uris. They were always bullied by Henry Bowers and his gang. After they bullied Stanley, they bumped into Bill. When they were about to leave, Bill asked with an irritated voice, "WH. Where do you keep your eyes?" When Henry and his gang were about to fight with Bill and his friends, Henry noticed his father present there with his police car, so he left after giving a warning to Bill. "Do you think he may be the reason for these disappearances?" Eddie asked while looking suspiciously at Henry's back. "Maybe," Stanley said with fear in his eyes. On that day, Bill, as usual, went to his father with a model of the pipe system in Derry, along with his new theory for finding Georgie. "Dad, look, I have a way to find Georgie. This time, for sure, we will find him," Bill excitedly showed his mini model of the pipeline while stuttering. "Bill, understand?" His father wanted to say it to Bill with a bitter face. "Look here, if Georgie was caught in the flood current, every line of the pipeline or drainage line will end up at the Barrens." When Bill was explaining, his dad interrupted him. "Bill, Georgie is dead. How many times do I need to tell you this? Please clean it before your mother sees this." His father didn't believe him and asked him to clean the place immediately with a stern voice. Bill cleaned the place dejectedly, with a heavy heart. He don't want to believe it. A boy named Mike Hanlon was delivering sheep's meat to his customers. After delivering the meat, when he was returning to his shop, Mike saw Henry's gang coming towards him in a car. So, Mike hurriedly went to the alley behind his shop. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 20, Pennywise started his show. When Mike hurriedly entered the back alley of his shop, he noticed the door where, when he was a kid, a fire accident had happened, resulting in the death of his parents and many others. Whenever Mike noticed the door, he always felt scared due to his traumatic experience. Suddenly, the door started to give off a creepy feeling, and Mike's instincts screamed at him to run away. Someone inside the door began banging on it loudly, causing Mike to sweat and swallow in fear. The banging became even louder, and Mike started hearing the screams of his parents and the others who had died in the fire accident. Smoke slowly started to come out through the gap whenever the door moved while banging. Mike cautiously moved towards the door. As it opened, a large amount of smoke billowed out almost immediately. Before Mike could relax, he noticed someone standing behind the plastic curtain, peering inside the door. When the person opened its eyes, they emitted a red glow with a menacing intent, causing Mike's fear to intensify for unknown reasons. He felt tempted to approach it and started walking towards it. However, his concentration was abruptly broken when a car entered the alley at high speed. Mike quickly jumped backward, slipping and falling onto his motorcycle. The car stopped right in front of him. It was none other than the most irritating Henry and his gang, who had noticed Mike. They made a U-turn in their car and drove back into the alley behind Mike's shop. "You don't have any right to be here," Henry exclaimed as he threw his half-puffed cigarette and cursed Mike for his skin color. After the car took off, Mike's grandfather emerged from the same door and saw Mike sitting on the road. He scolded Mike for being a coward. "What are you doing down there? Come here, we still have many deliveries," the old man urged Mike. The old man scolded Mike because he considered himself responsible for him after the demise of Mike's parents. He took Mike to the farm, grabbed the bolt gun, loaded it, and handed it to Mike to shoot one of the sheep to death. "Mike, shoot the sheep. We need more meat for delivery," the old man said, speaking to one of the workers. Mike hesitated to take the shot due to his fear from past trauma. The old man sighed, took the bolt gun from Mike's hand, and shot the sheep. Stanley's house. At his home, Stanley was praying to God while his father corrected his prayer if he recited it wrongly. After the prayer, Stanley took a book and went to his father's office to return it to where he had taken it from. As he entered the room, Stanley covered one side of his face with his hand to avoid looking at a painting on the wall of a strange-looking woman. He noticed that the painting was crooked, so he straightened it. When he turned back after placing the book in the cupboard, he saw the woman from the painting standing behind him, with a long neck, white eyes and sharp teeth, smiling creepily at him. Stanley quickly ran out of the room in fear. Eddie's house. Bill and Richie went to Eddie's house to think and plan about Bill's theory for searching for Georgie in the Barrens. Richie gathered all the necessary items for the search from Eddie's house while Eddie warned them to make sure his mother didn't notice. As they sneaked out of the house without Eddie's mom noticing, unfortunately, she spotted them. "Eddie, my boy, where are you going without informing me?" she asked, while painting her nails. Bill lied, saying they were going to his house. Just as they were about to leave, Eddie's mom said, "Eddie dear, did you forget something?" Her sweet voice sent shivers down Eddie's spine. "Yes, Mom, I didn't forget," Eddie replied with a forced smile, went to his mother, and kissed her cheeks, while Richie struggled to contain his laughter, observing his friend's embarrassment. Derry's library. A chubby boy named Ben Hanscom was reading and investigating the history of Derry. The librarian handed him a book about old Derry and advised him to find friends and play with them. While reading the book, Ben noticed that the same picture was repeating on page after page. The picture gradually zoomed in on a tree branch, which had a dead boy's head. When Ben looked at it, he closed the book instantly, his face filled with fear. Suddenly, a red balloon entered the library. For some reason, Ben felt tempted to follow the red balloon. He stood up and followed it. As he entered one of the rows in the library, the lights started flickering on and off. Suddenly, a headless body entered the area and began chasing him. Ben started to run but slipped and fell. When he got up and turned around, he saw a man dressed as a clown, with a creepy smile and sharp teeth, looking at him. The clown started running towards Ben in a haunting manner, shouting creepily. Ben turned to run, but he accidentally bumped into the librarian. Without saying anything, he ran out of the library. When Ben exited the library, he was blocked by Henry and his gang. Ben tried to run away, but they captured him and dragged him near the tunnel, where they started beating him. Henry took out his knife and began carving his name into Ben's belly. Despite Ben's cries for help, the passing cars didn't intervene. In the back seat of one of the cars, there was a red balloon. When Ben managed to kick Henry, he fell backward, slid along the ground, and Ben took the opportunity to escape. He ran towards the Barrens, trying to put as much distance as possible between himself and Henry's gang. The Barrens. Bill, Richie, and Eddie were searching the Barrens thoroughly, but they were about to give up on the search. Suddenly, Bill discovered one of Georgie's shoes, giving them renewed hope. *. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 21, Note. Guys, I am out of station. So today I won't be able to update new chapter. Tomorrow I will update 2 chapters. Chapter 22, Chapter 21, Derry's Secret. When Bill was about to lose his will, he found Georgie's shoe when he poked the drainage with a stick. Bill, let's go. If my mother finds out what we're doing, she'll kill me, Eddie said to his 2 friends, who just ignored him. When Bill took the shoe in his hand, Richie walked near Bill and placed his hand on Bill's shoulder to comfort him. When Eddie saw the shoe, he tried to convince Bill and Richie not to search further inside the tunnel, but they ignored him and were about to go further. They heard a sound of someone falling down outside the tunnel into the water. When they came out of the tunnel to see who it was, Richie shouted at the figure lying in the water, "Hey, it's Giant Hippo." "Richie, it's Ben Hanscom from our class," Eddie said, rolling his eyes. All 4 of them helped Ben and left the place. After some time, Patrick Hawksetter, one of the members of Henry's gang, arrived at the Barrens. He was looking for Ben, who had run away. He suspected Ben might be hiding in the tunnel, so he moved inside to capture him. As he moved further, the tunnel started to get darker, so he used a lighter for a little light. He had a spray to ignite the lighter for fire. When he turned at one of the turns in the tunnel and flashed the fire for light, a group of people with ugly faces and torn skin, resembling zombies, started to chase him down. While running, one of the zombies slashed Patrick's hand toward his face, cutting off his nose. Scared and with his pants wet from fear, Patrick moved back the same way he came in, but to his misery, the path was blocked by an iron grill. Suddenly, the sound of the people chasing him became deathly silent. When he turned back, a red balloon covered his sight. When he moved the balloon, he saw a clown with red hair, half bald, and a face covered in clown makeup. The clown looked at Patrick with a gentle smile. Before Patrick could even sigh, the clown suddenly opened his mouth, revealing razor-sharp teeth, and ran towards him creepily at high speed. Patrick had no time to react and, with a look of helplessness, he died on the spot. Bill and his friends took Ben to a paramedical shop because Eddie had good knowledge of first aid. Richie stayed with Ben while Bill and the others went to the paramedical shop. Eddie started his shopping spree in the shop. Suddenly, Stanley noticed that they were low on money. "We're low on money," Stanley interrupted Eddie's shopping. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. "Eddie, you have a membership here, right?" Bill asked Eddie with assurance. "Yeah, I do. But we can't use it, my mother will easily find out," Eddie refused the idea. While they were arguing, Bill's attention was caught by a girl, to be precise, his crush, Beverly Marsh. "WH, what are you doing here?" Bill stuttered while looking at her without blinking. "What are you doing here?" she asked him. "It's not your biz." Before Stanley could finish his sentence, Beverly's father came and scolded her. She started to shiver and went to the bathroom in her room. She looked at the mirror and started to cut her hair with a disgusted look on her face. Next day, after playing at the waterfall, Ben informed them about his research on the history of Derry and the mysteries of missing cases. After hearing the story of Bill's brother, he invited them to his house. "Say no. Say no," Eddie said with a low voice. But everyone, other than him, wanted to go to Ben's house. When they entered Ben's room, they saw his mad research about Derry pasted everywhere. Ben started to explain the past history of how Derry was founded and how one day everyone mysteriously disappeared, leaving only stains of blood. "I feel it is connected to something supernatural," Ben gave his opinion on the matter. "Then how will we find my brother?" Bill said with a little fear but firm determination in his eyes. "I found this site when I was browsing about supernatural stuff on my computer." Ben went to his computer and showed them the site. Everyone looked at the website titled Devil May Cry. What is this? Eddie asked while looking at the site. It's a site where we can report and complain about supernatural stuff, and they will help us solve it, Ben said while eyeing Beverly. But Beverly was looking at Bill. Don't be a fool, those are cheaters who will charge us after some petty trick, Richie said, mocking Ben for believing in such sites. Bill took a closer look at the site and started to think deeply. If there's a 1% chance to save my brother, I'll take it, he immersed himself in his thoughts. Everyone left Ben's house and went to their respective homes. On the way to his home, Eddie passed by the well house, an old house. Even though it was a sunny day, he felt cold. He used his nebulizer to calm himself down, but it fell down, and the capsules scattered on the ground. As he was picking them up, someone helped him pick up one of the capsules. When he looked up to see who it was, Eddie was stunned. It was Patrick, who went missing yesterday, standing in front of him, looking like a zombie. Eddie was scared and stumbled into the garden of the well house as he ran in a hurry. When he got up from the ground and looked around, there was no Patrick. Instead, someone was standing there, holding a lot of red balloons that covered their face. When the person slowly moved their hand, Eddie saw a clown face smiling gently but looking at him maliciously. "Where are you going?" "Eddie," the clown said with a gentle voice. "Come, join me, you will be floating," the clown said while giggling. "Who are you?" Eddie asked, taking slow steps backward. "Me. Pennywise. I am Pennywise," Pennywise introduced himself, bowing respectfully. "Ho ho ho. Ho ho ho. Ho ho ho." Pennywise started to laugh creepily. Eddie started to run back towards his house without looking back. "Wherever you go, you will come to me, Eddie," Pennywise said, showing his razor-sharp teeth. Beverly's house. Beverly arrived at her house. When she opened her bag, she found a greeting card. When she opened it, there were romantic poetic lines written inside. To Beverly. "You shine like a star in the dark, lighting up the world around you with your grace and strength. Your courage inspires me, and your kindness touches my heart. I wanted to let you know that you are truly special and deserving of all the happiness in the world. Whenever you feel alone or scared, remember that you have friends who care about you and will always be there for you. You are not alone. With love and admiration." Like always, she thought it was a greeting card from Bill. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 23, Chapter 22, Come Float With Us. Beverly took the greeting card to her bathroom and looked at the letter while giggling, sitting at the bathtub. Suddenly, she heard many sounds inside the bathroom. "Come. Beverly, I come. We are floating here." She became alert and started searching for the source of the sound. After a few seconds, the sounds increased, and she looked towards the sink near the mirror, placing her ear near the sinkhole to confirm her doubts. Later, she took the measuring tape near the mirror and sent it inside the sink to see if anything was placed inside. However, she couldn't pull the tape outside the sinkhole. She applied more force, and when she pulled it, blood started splashing from the sinkhole, painting the entire room red. She started screaming in fear, fully covered in blood. Hearing her scream, her father rushed in. But to Beverly's surprise, he reacted normally and didn't believe her when she informed him about the blood. Bill's house. Bill was looking sadly at the walkie-talkie he would always play with his brother. He wiped the tears from his eyes, thinking about the moments with his brother. Pat, pat, pat. Bill heard footsteps from outside his room. He checked and heard the same footsteps downstairs. Bill became alert and slowly stepped down the stairs, looking at the empty dining hall. Suddenly, Georgie ran wearing a yellow raincoat from behind one of the chairs, heading towards the basement. When Bill saw his brother running to the basement, he didn't think clearly, and tears started falling from his eyes in his shocked state. He ran after Georgie to the basement. When he was midway on the staircase, he noticed the basement was covered in water. Bill didn't hesitate and started calling his brother's name. "Georgie! Georgie, where are you, Georgie?" he shouted, his voice echoing throughout the basement. Bill noticed Georgie standing in the corner of the basement near the shelf. "It's flowing fast," Georgie said with an innocent look. "Georgie," Bill said with teary eyes. "Come, I was floating here. Join me." Georgie extended his hand towards Bill. Suddenly, Bill noticed something was wrong. Georgie started repeating the same sentence, but each time his voice changed from innocence to a creepy chorus-like voice. His face slowly started decomposing, and Georgie began shouting the sentence. Bill took a step back when he saw this scene. He suddenly noticed a pair of eyes looking from the water, like a crocodile looking at its prey. The figure slowly started moving upward from the water. It was Pennywise. He pulled Georgie into the water and started running towards Bill with his creepy running style, shouting. Bill ran towards his room and closed the door without looking back. Beverly's house. Beverly was sitting outside her house on the staircase, too scared to even go to her room. Bill and the others came after Beverly called them. "Guys, come inside," Beverly said hurriedly. "What happened?" Ben asked with worry. "Are you going to host a party?" Richie mocked her. "Shut up, Richie," Bill silenced him. "What happened, Beverly?" Bill asked with concern. "If my father finds out I invited you guys home, he will kill me," she said fearfully. "Then let Richie stand outside. If your father comes home, Richie will inform us before he arrives," Bill suggested, entering Beverly's house without waiting for Richie's response. The others followed him. "What can I do if her father comes?" Richie shouted to Bill, raising his hands in dissatisfaction, but his comment was ignored. "Richie, you always say you're an expert in flirting. Now flirt with him," Eddie mocked Richie with a smirk and entered Beverly's house. Beverly took them straight to her bathroom. When everyone saw her bathroom, they were shocked to see so much blood. "I can't control it, I need to throw up," Eddie said, covering his mouth. His face turned dark and pale. "What happened here?" Ben asked, looking at the bathroom in fear. Everyone helped Beverly clean the place. Afterward, as they walked with their bicycles, Beverly began to tell how the blood ended up in her bathroom. Bill also told them how he saw Georgie and how he turned into a clown and chased him. Next, Eddie also shared his story about how he met a clown named Pennywise. Stanley nodded, confirming that he too had seen a clown. "What? Only you guys saw him? Why can't I? If I ever see him, I'll piss not on the floor like you guys, but on him," Richie mocked his friends without believing them. Inside the forest near them, they heard Henry bullying someone. "Is that Mike's bike?" Bill pointed towards a bicycle on the ground near a black car. "Should we run?" Eddie suggested. "No, we need to help," Beverly suggested, looking determined. "Are you sure?" Richie asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," Beverly said without looking at him and ran towards Mike's direction. Henry was trying to hit Mike with a large stone in his hand, but suddenly a stone hit Henry's head with a strong force, causing blood to flow from the wound. "Super!" Stanley said, looking at Beverly admiringly. "Hey, look, it's the Losers gang." "Oh, and there's a new loser who joined your gang, a woman," Henry mocked Bill and his friends. Before he could finish, Ben threw a stone at Henry angrily for mocking Beverly. Henry became enraged, and he and his gang started throwing stones. Mike used this chance to move towards Bill's gang. "Let the war begin," Richie shouted, raising his hand. Unfortunately, he was hit in the mouth by a stone thrown by Henry. Both sides continued to exchange stones. After some time, Henry's gang felt overwhelmed and left Henry, who had fallen down due to a stone strike, and ran away. Henry felt humiliated for losing to Bill's gang. "If you ever try to bully us, this will be the result," Richie said, showing his middle finger. Mike thanked Bill and his friends for helping him. Bill, however, was lost in deep thought. "Guys, I think we should report what's happening in Derry on the website," Bill said, his expression serious. The others nodded in agreement, except Richie, who was still mocking them. When Mike heard about the mysterious clown, he also told them about his experience with the clown named Pennywise. "Idiots," Richie said with a smug look. The others didn't care, and everyone went to Ben's house to write about their experiences, the missing children, and the clown named Pennywise. After some time, they received a reply from DMC, acknowledging their complaint and stating that they would arrive in Derry soon. A few minutes later, Ben received a call from DMC. A woman spoke to them and warned them to stay away from the clown, not to follow it no matter what, as it would lure them towards it. The woman informed them that DMC would arrive in a day or two. Present day. Forks. Jojo's house. To Jojo's surprise, the Cullens visited his house. At first, Jojo was stunned but later invited them in. "Can I know why you guys are here?" Jojo asked them with a gentle smile. "Well, my children told me about your case and that you're going to Derry for a few days," Carlisle stated the reason for their visit. "My daughters want to follow you to Derry. They're also interested in these supernatural cases you will be solving and the DMC, Esm said calmly, with a smile. "Yeah, I will be out of town for a few days. The DMC was created just 4 months ago, and this will be our first case," Jojo answered them while drinking his coffee. "Can we join the DMC?" Esm asked Jojo with interest. _______. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 24, Chapter 23, Confession of Alice and Roselie. Present day. Forks. Jojo's house. To Jojo's surprise, the Cullens visited his house. When he looked at the other Cullens for their reaction, everyone was looking at him with anticipation except Carlisle. "Why do you guys want to join DMC?" Jojo asked them with visible confusion on his face. He couldn't understand why the Cullens wanted to join his DMC. "Well, you see, Jojo, we've lived for so long, which has made our lives pretty much boring," Jess said while holding Emmett's hand. "When you told us about DMC, we got interested in it," Jasper said, sensing Jojo's confused emotions. "We want to join your group. Is it okay?" Esm asked Jojo while smiling at her enthusiastic children. Rosalie and Alice were looking around Jojo's house with beaming smiles, their legs literally shaking in excitement. They didn't speak while their family members were chatting with Jojo. "Esm, we are here to know more about the supernatural cases, to know if there is any danger in them," Carlisle said with a bitter smile, looking at Esm. After hearing Carlisle, Jojo sighed. "Yes, Carlisle is right. If you guys join DMC, you will face many dangers," Jojo warned the Cullens with a serious look. "Even us cold ones too," Emmett said with a grin, showing off his arm muscles. "Most of the cold ones think they are the primordial hunters, but there are more out there, far stronger than cold ones," Carlisle advised Emmett with a sigh. Carlisle is right. Even though cold ones are strong, their strength can't be compared to the true vampires. Jojo felt that what Carlisle said was true. He knew this world was a combination of Twilight and the originals, but to his surprise, his first supernatural case was Pennywise from the IT movie. Jess, who saw Emmett's punched Emmett's chest. After everyone settled down, Jojo started to explain the supernatural case. He also explained how it would pose danger to them. "Now tell me, do you guys still want to join DMC?" Jojo asked them while looking at Jasper's despairing condition. For Jasper's despair, Alice and Rosalie were looking at Jojo without taking their eyes off him. If Edward were present, he would have heard only one name in his mind. Jojo. 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 Were the only thoughts on their minds. Jojo, are you sure you don't want me to come with you? Jenny asked with a slightly disappointed tone when she entered the house. When she looked at the Cullens, she became surprised that someone visited Jojo. Jenny, this case is very dangerous for you guys, so it's best for you and Alex to stay home for this case, Jojo explained to Jenny while passing her a cup of coffee. Who might they be? Jenny asked, pointing her finger at the Cullens. Oh, Jenny, they are new members of DMC who will accompany us on this case, Jojo introduced the Cullens one by one to her. After chatting for some time, the Cullens left while Rosalie and Alice stayed behind and asked Jojo if they could speak to him about something important. After everyone left, Jenny left while speaking on her phone about something important. Well, what do you guys need to speak to me about? Jojo asked them with interest. What do Rosalie and Alice want to ask me? Could it be a date with the two of them? Jojo started to have his own imagination. Jojo, that's what you know about mates, right? Alice said nervously. Now he understood what this was about. Even though both parties knew about them being mates, they had never spoken to each other regarding this matter. According to Rosalie and Alice, Jojo didn't know he was their mate. Well, you are mine and Alice's mate. Rosalie also looked nervous because she didn't know how Jojo would react. Jojo's heart skipped a beat. Even though he was jumping in his mind with happiness, he couldn't show it on his face. He wanted to show them that he was very happy to have both of them. Well, honestly, I don't know how to react. One side of me feels happy, while the other side thinks about how tough it must be for you guys regarding this matter, Jojo said with a gentle smile, wiping away a fake tear. It's because of you, pervert. Not only us, but you also have two more bonds, Rosalie scolded Jojo, looking at him angrily. Still two. Still two. Still two. These were the thoughts in Jojo's mind. He looked like he was almost fainted by the surprise from his gods. Sorry, Rosalie. Can I call you Rose? Jojo chuckled, seeing Rosalie pouting. So, what do you think of us being your mates? Alice asked him while looking at the ground. What are you saying? I will always love you guys, Jojo blurted out since he had no experience with women when he looked at Rosalie and Alice. Both Alice and Rosalie didn't speak. They hugged Jojo, and the three of them stood in the same position for 10 minutes. Jojo. Alex, who came to argue with Jojo for not allowing him to come to Derry, stopped when he saw Jojo hugging two women. All three of them looked at Alex. When both girls took one hand of Jojo, he understood that they were claiming him. What is it, Alex? Jojo asked with a bright face. Nothing, Alex said and went to his house. Next day, the Cullens arrived at Jojo's house and picked him up. Carlisle, Esme, Jasper, Edith, Emmett, and Jess were coming in Carlisle's car and Emmett's jeep. Alice, Rosalie, and Jojo were in Rosalie's red car. When they left Jojo's house, some wolves were looking at the house from the forest. Flashback. Carlisle went to the Quileute tribe, telling them that Jojo would be gone for 3 to 4 days for some business along with the Cullens. He warned Jojo's human friends who were living with him beside his house. Carlisle, what are you doing here? Sam asked, looking at Carlisle. Well, Jojo, along with us, will be leaving for some place to solve a supernatural problem in the place called Derry. Carlisle stated his reason for his visit. What does that have to do with us? Sam asked with a raised eyebrow. Well, you already know Jojo's human friends are staying with him, right? While Carlisle was explaining, Sam interrupted. You want us to protect them in his absence? Sam asked Carlisle and accepted without making any fuss, which surprised Carlisle. Jojo was a benefactor for us, the Quileute tribe, so it's our duty to protect those close to him in his absence, Sam said with a genuine smile. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 25, Chapter 24, Arriving at Derry. Quileute tribe started their protection of Jojo's property and his friends after he left with the Cullens, watching from the shadows. The wolves were truly vigilant in their duty. Forks Forest. 3 figures watched a teenage girl walking alone on the road, chatting with her boyfriend who had cheated on her. James stared at the girl like a hungry beast. James, Lauren, and Victoria arrived in Forks but hadn't hunted yet because Victoria had stopped them. She felt a strong killing intent whenever they talked about finding food in the Forks Forest. She had been restless for almost a day, but suddenly the killing intent started to fade, and she felt relieved. Whenever they spoke about hunting, she felt as if a predator was watching her. They decided to strike when there was no crowd around, ensuring that the Cullens wouldn't find out about them. Victoria expressed her concern about the earlier killing intent, still bothering her for the past day. What about a little snack, Cullens style? Just biting some animals, Lauren mocked Victoria, who seemed annoyed for some reason. The 3 of them began to follow the teenage girl. When she was about to turn into a small alley, James launched at her and bit her neck while holding her struggling form. Victoria and Lauren joined him, completely draining the poor girl before throwing her into a nearby forest. The next day. Derry. Ben hurriedly informed his friends that the DMC had informed him they would be arriving today. Sigh. Now we can relax from that psycho clown, Eddie sighed in relief. I hope they will find Georgie, Bill said, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Beverly, noticing the sadness in Bill's face, placed her hand on his shoulder and comforted him, under the jealous gaze of Ben, who looked at the couple with a complicated expression. Let those jokers come to face your imaginary clown, Richie continued to mock them, as he didn't believe their stories. According to him, the DMC was a fraudulent organization that would fake or make up things to solve them for money. Guys, don't let fear defeat you. Pennywise is a sneaky guy, Jojo warned the Cullens once again, emphasizing Pennywise's cunning nature. Jojo and the others took cabs to Forks. As they arrived at the entrance of Derry, they started to notice an increase in missing posters as they moved deeper into the town. Some people were still posting missing posters along the road. Now do you understand how serious the situation is? Jojo asked, while Rosalie and Alice looked at the missing posters with a sense of pity. When they arrived at the address Ben had given them, the cab left after they paid the fare. Is this the address? Carlyle asked, looking at the piece of paper in his hand. Yes, it is, Jojo nodded. Then what are we waiting for? Emmett said eagerly, stepping in front of the door and pressing the doorbell. Ring! Ring! Ben, see who it is, a female voice came from inside. After a few seconds, the door opened. Emmett was expecting to see an adult Ben, not a child. Surprised, he got distracted. You must be Ben, right? Ez asked Ben with a gentle smile. Yeah, Ben nodded. We are from the DMC. Are you the one who filed a complaint with us? Jojo stepped forward and asked Ben, who was looking at Emmett as if he were watching his idol. Yeah, I'm the one, Ben nodded to Jojo. While Jojo was speaking with Ben, 6 other children arrived behind him, eyeing Jojo and the others up and down. Who is it, Ben? Ben's mother called from the kitchen, busy with her work. My friends, Mom, Ben shouted inside with a helpless expression. Seeing the questioning gazes from Jojo and the Cullens, Ben smiled awkwardly. Ben, when did you make friends with such a big age difference? Ben's mom asked, looking at the older people with a questioning gaze. The others stood there silently, unsure of what to say. Ben, you shouldn't lie to your mother, Ms. Hanscom. I am Jojo Satoru, an archaeologist. This is my team, Jojo shook hands with Ben's mother, adopting a professional tone. Oh! Ben's mom was speechless when a handsome young man introduced himself to her with a gentle smile. Your son is a genius. He helped us by providing valuable information on the history of dairy. He was very interested in learning more about it. Jojo pointed towards Ben, who looked very confused. What more could a mother want than someone boasting about her son's intelligence in front of her? Jojo thought with an internal smirk. Ben's mom looked at her son with wide eyes, filled with surprise. Is this true, Ben? She looked at her son with anticipation and a sparkle in her eyes. Helplessly, Ben nodded once again. He didn't know what else to say to his mother. She left for work after checking the clock in a hurry. Why did you lie to her? Rosalie asked Jojo, holding his hand. Well, he's just cautious, you know, to prevent being hit by stones, Alice said with a smirk, sitting on Jojo's lap. Puff! How did you know? Jojo asked her with a surprised look. I've seen it, you know, Alice said with a puff, revealing her abilities. Cough, well, now can we get to the main topic? Jojo changed the subject. Can you explain more about the case you filed? Jojo asked Ben with a serious look. Bill stepped forward and began to explain how his brother had gone missing, and they discovered a connection to a clown who started hunting them one by one. The others also shared their encounters with the terrifying clown. You guys are lucky to be alive. The clown you encountered is named Pennywise. His food is fear, and his favorite prey is children, Jojo warned them. Yes. Yes. Didn't I tell you guys that the clown's name is Pennywise? Eddie said, trembling in fear as he recalled their encounters. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 26, Chapter 25, Bill's Hopeless Hope. Dairy. Pennywise had found his target in one of the houses. Just as he was about to make a move on the kid, he suddenly felt hesitant for some reason. What is this feeling? Pennywise stopped in his tracks and pondered for a few minutes. After thinking for some time, he narrowed his eyes. This time, the ritual must be completed. It must not be interrupted, Pennywise said softly and moved backwards towards the wall, seeping into the shadows. When Bill saw a glimmer of hope, he explained his theory to Jojo about his brother and how he found Georgie's shoe in the barrens, excitedly sharing his findings. Jojo felt deep pity for Bill. Despite his parents losing hope for Georgie, Bill continued to persist and never gave up hope for his brother. Do you really believe him? They are cheaters, Richie said, pointing his finger at Jojo. When Jojo heard Richie's accusation, he raised an eyebrow and looked at him. The other Cullens also regarded Richie as if he were an idiot. Why do you think like that, Four Eyes? Oh, friend? Jojo asked, scrutinizing Richie. Richie, taken aback by Jojo's slip of words, glared fiercely at him through his glasses. How can we believe you? You're the real deal, Richie pointed his finger at Jojo, who ignored him. Richie, what are you doing? Eddie, who was previously happy because he no longer had to fear the clown, suddenly burst into anger. You mama's boy, always scared of everything. If there really is a freaking clown as you mentioned, present here in Derry, hunting kids, why didn't he come for me? Is he scared? Richie shouted, mocking Eddie. The Cullens watched the kids quarrel and looked at them as if they were watching a live comedy show. Hey, Jojo, are you sure we need to take these kids with us to catch the clown? Jasper asked Jojo, looking confused. Sigh, taking them will be really troublesome, Jojo said, massaging his temples. When Bill and the other kids, except Eddie, Stanley, and Richie, saw this, they looked at Jojo, who seemed lost in thought. But they have been marked by Pennywise, so he will surely come for them. Keeping them near is the best option, Jojo said helplessly, looking at Eddie and Richie still quarreling. What do you mean he will come for us? Stanley asked Jojo, stuttering in fear as he thought about the long-necked woman in the painting. Then he will target these kids, Alice asked, her face filled with worry. Yes, Jojo replied, confirming Stanley's dilemma. With Bill's help, Jojo marked the places where the recent missing cases had occurred using an old projector that projected a map. Carlyle looked at the marked places and connected the nearest drainage pipelines together, marking them on the wall after hearing Bill's explanations. I think we have found the place, Carlyle said, looking at the map. Jojo silently nodded his head. So, here is where the clown is hiding, Emmett said, smugly looking at the map. What do you mean? Beverly asked Jojo, looking confused. When they connected the drainage pipelines near the areas where the recent disappearances happened, they all end at one place, Bill explained seriously, pointing at the map. When Beverly and the other kids looked at the pointed place on the map, they murmured, the well house. I know the clown must be there. My experience with him took place outside the well house, Eddie said, holding his medicine in his hand. Oh, if I go there, I will meet the clown, right? Richie said, blocking the view of the projector with his body. Hey, kid, don't get full of yourself. If he hasn't appeared before you, it means he was trying to increase your curiosity to lure you to his place, Jojo said with a serious face. Don't try to fool me. Richie refused to believe. Seeing this, Rosalie became really angry at the kid for talking nonsense about her mate. She was about to respond when suddenly the projector went blank for a moment, and then it started showing images of Bill's father with his mother. Each image showed different moments, from Bill's birth to Georgie's birth and the birthdays they celebrated together. Eventually, an image began to repeat itself, zooming in on a particular person whose face was covered by their hair. When Bill saw the picture, he remembered the incident that happened at the library. Stop the projection fast, otherwise, he will come, Ben shouted, and the kids tried to turn off the projector but failed. While the kids panicked, Jojo and the Cullens watched the projection on the wall with serious expressions. After some time, the zoomed image began to change. In each picture, the hair moved, revealing parts of Pennywise's face. In the last picture, Pennywise's full face was shown in the projection. Suddenly, the projector stopped projecting, and the room fell into darkness. After a few seconds, the projector turned back on, but the kids started screaming in fear. Pennywise, with a giant body and sharp razor teeth, emerged from the projection. He crawled towards the kids, ready to feed on their fear. Hey, Joker, oh, Joker, come entertain me, Emmett jumped at Pennywise's giant body. Just as his punch was about to land, Pennywise suddenly disappeared in front of Emmett, shocking him and the other Cullens with his reaction speed. He's fast enough to dodge Emmett's attack, Esme said with a shocked expression. The other Cullens watched the scene with wide eyes. Emmett, be careful. He will play tricks to deceive you, Jojo warned, giving a hint based on the previous warning. Emmett nodded, and suddenly, he heard a growling sound behind him. Grr. Growling. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 27, Chapter 26, Cullens experiences fear. When Emmett tried to launch an attack on the giant Pennywise, who was scaring the kids crawling towards them, his fist was about to hit Pennywise, but the clown disappeared before Emmett's attack could connect. After hearing Jojo's warning, Emmett nodded his head with a serious expression, his smile fading when he heard a growling sound behind him. Grr. Growling. When Emmett turned around, he saw a grey bear with a cut mark on its left eye growling at him. Emmett felt an intense killing intent from the bear, his face filled with shock as he took a few steps back. How is this possible? Emmett said, looking at the bear with a trace of fear in his eyes. The bear suddenly lunged at Emmett, who stood frozen, staring at the bear in front of him. It's fake, snap out of it. Jojo pulled Emmett out of his shock from the attack. "Thanks, Brew," Emmett said without taking his eyes off the bear. Jess, who saw Emmett's situation, came between Emmett and the bear. "What happened, Emmett?" Jess asked worriedly while maintaining her vigilance. "It's his fear," Carlyle answered, shocking the other Cullens except Esme, who already knew about Emmett's fear. "The bear you're looking at is the one who almost killed Emmett when he was human," Esme explained with a worried face. "I am fine. Looks like I really underestimated our opponent," Emmett said with an embarrassed look on his face. Jess was really angry looking at the condition Emmett ended up in. She glared at Pennywise, who was in the form of a bear. Just as she was about to make a move, Jasper started to scream, holding his ears. "I can't take it. It's too much!" Jasper shouted with an ugly expression. He was shaking from head to toe due to the intense emotion he felt. When everyone shifted their gaze towards Jasper, the wolf disappeared into the walls. "Do you like this poor clown's present? Gee! Gag! Gag! Pennywise started to giggle, releasing the intense emotions of the victims he had. Suddenly, a balloon appeared out of nowhere and started to move towards Richie slowly. Richie, who was tightly pressed against the wall in fear, looked at the balloon in front of him with terror. He didn't know what to do, he was too afraid to move, fearing that any movement would result in his death. While this was happening, Jojo shouted, "Everyone, get a hold of yourselves," as he looked at the balloon. Even though Jojo had warned the Cullens many times, they didn't expect Pennywise to be this powerful. Even Jojo was surprised to see this scene in front of him. He knew that in the movie, they had severely nerfed Pennywise's powers, but he didn't expect Pennywise to handle the Cullens with such ease, just like any other humans. Jojo planned to make the Cullens confront Pennywise because, based on his interaction with them, they seemed to not fully believe what he said, except for Esme, Carlyle, Rosalie, and Alice. The others seemed a little too full of themselves. The balloon that moved towards Richie's face suddenly burst, scaring him to the core. Richie wet his pants and screamed in fear, tears streaming down his face. "Dear, what are you doing here?" Eddie heard his mother's voice from nowhere. "Mo. Mother," Eddie stammered, looking around in fear. Observing this scene, Jojo sighed, narrowed his eyes, and cleared his throat. "Look, I'll give you 3 seconds to come before me," Jojo said, trying to divert Pennywise's attention to him. "Oh, you're the first one to call my name in a very long time," Pennywise giggled and appeared behind Jojo with a smirk on his face. Pennywise extended his finger and nails, his mouth opening to reveal sharp teeth as he stared at Jojo with a salivating mouth. Rosalie noticed Pennywise behind Jojo, staring intently at him, trying to sneak up on Jojo. "Jojo, Lou!" Before Rosalie could react, Pennywise made his move towards Jojo's heart, a grin on his face. Pennywise's hand was about to strike Jojo's back when Jojo suddenly disappeared from his position. Pennywise's eyes widened as he witnessed Jojo's speed. "Excuse me," Jojo's voice echoed deeply from behind Pennywise. When Pennywise turned around to take a look, his face turned ugly. Jojo, with half of his face turned into a blazing skull, looked at Pennywise with a smirk on one half of his face. "What? How did you escape when I put you through an illusion?" Pennywise asked Jojo, a look of disbelief on his face. "Oh. If you had informed me beforehand, I might have paid attention to it," Jojo mocked Pennywise, his remaining face blazing as a skull. After a few seconds, Pennywise started to giggle, looking at Jojo's Ghost Rider form with interest. Seeing the kids panic, Alice went near them to comfort them. "Don't worry, kids. Jojo will take care of that clown," Alice said with a reassuring smile. "My mother already warned me not to be friends with these idiots, but I should have listened to her," Eddie said while putting his medicine into his machine and swallowing it. He took deep breaths to calm himself. "I don't care, just take that thing out of here." Richie screamed in fear, tears streaming down his face. You're not human, are you? I'll give you a chance to join me. If we break the unforgivable seal together, we'll gain power far surpassing what we have. The world will be full of fear. Pennywise said, drooling at the thought of a world filled with fear. Idiot! Can't he see who is standing before him? Carlyle snorted. While the other Cullens smirked at the poor clown who was unwittingly giving away precious information even before Jojo started his torture. But I refuse, Jojo looked at Pennywise with indifference. Pennywise started to laugh loudly and regarded Jojo as a toy he was about to play with. Then, don't be offended, Pennywise said with a slight bow. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 28, Chapter 27 Come here pay for your sins. Pennywise began to laugh loudly and made a slight mocking bow to Jojo, smirking at him as if he were a new toy. Then don't be offended, Pennywise said with a smirk. Jojo looked at Pennywise with a questioning gaze because he hadn't seen the things Pennywise mentioned in the movie. Come here, pay for your sins. Jojo motioned his finger towards Pennywise, provoking him to provide more information. Hee. I hate it when someone tries to intimidate me, Pennywise narrowed his eyes. Pennywise started to bulge like a balloon with creepy laughter. Move back, Jess and Jasper warned the kids, advising them to step away and taking battle positions. It's irritating looking at his laughter. I want to tear his fucking mouth with my bare hands. Jojo looked at Pennywise with disdain, clearly wanting to kick his puffy ass. Jojo looked around and saw a drilling machine placed on top of the cupboard behind Pennywise. Jojo's instincts told him to gather more information about this seal, so he moved swiftly with high speed, appearing behind Pennywise. When Pennywise turned to look back, Jojo didn't waste any time. He grabbed Pennywise by the collar and, with the force of a sumo, hit him into the cupboard, breaking it into several pieces. As the cupboard shattered, Jojo caught the drilling machine in one hand. When the machine came into contact with the hellfire in Jojo's hand, it started to change. The bottom of the handle extended like a sharp dagger, while the back of the machine's head opened up, filled with hellfire, and the front side transformed into a silvery white skull. Its eerie eyes were filled with fire, and the drill rod from its mouth sprouted over 100 tiny thorns that spun in the opposite direction of the drill. You can't stop me from releasing the seal. He. Pennywise laughed maniacally. When Jojo attempted to slash Pennywise's head, it retracted into his body, catching Jojo off guard. The wall behind Pennywise melted like magma where the drill made contact. Gray. Jojo grew even more enraged by Pennywise's behavior. As he prepared to strike Pennywise's heart, Pennywise's body burst into white smoke followed by party papers. When the smoke dissipated, Pennywise was nowhere to be found inside the room. However, Jojo could sense that Pennywise had already left the garage and was heading towards his lair through the drainage system. Run! Run! I will hunt you even in the depths of the earth, Jojo said mockingly, looking in the direction where Pennywise was escaping. Let's continue our chase. At night. He is a trickster who will trick us more than ordinary humans. Jojo transformed back and spoke to the Cullens, who were getting ready to chase Pennywise while Alice predicted his next move. He even tricked you and ran away, Emmett said in awe. Jasper sighed in relief, feeling better now. That's why he's difficult. He'll run away when he feels like he's losing, like a cockroach, Jojo said, looking at the damage caused in the battle with a weary smile. Alice and Rosalie approached Jojo and checked him for any injuries. Jojo, are you injured? Rosalie removed his jacket and examined his back, as she was closest to him when Pennywise launched his sneak attack. No, Rose, I don't have any injuries, Jojo said with a warm smile, observing the reactions of his girlfriends. Bill, Ben, and the other kids looked at Jojo and his team with shocked expressions, still not uttering a single word. Finally, that stupid clown is dead, Eddie, who hadn't heard the conversation, came out of shock and jumped up and down. The other kids also snapped out of their stupor and joined Eddie, while Richie, who was very happy, forgot what he said before Pennywise's grand entry. "Don't be happy, kids." He ran away. Jojo poured cold water on Richie, who was jumping around like a monkey. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. "If I go home now after what happened, he will come and abduct me through the drain." Richie started to panic. Stanley began to shudder in fear. Forks. Quileute settlement. The elders and other important members of the tribe were waiting for the clan head to begin the meeting. After some time, Sam entered the meeting room with a solemn expression. Everyone in the room sensed that something significant had happened, seeing the tribe's leader with such a serious expression. "So, what happened, Sam, to call for an emergency meeting?" Billy, who was sitting in his wheelchair, asked calmly. The others in the meeting room remained silent but looked at Sam, waiting for an answer. "3 unknown vampires have entered Forks," Sam stated the reason for the tension. "Did you find any clues about them?" one of the elders asked, his expression serious. "No, they have started feeding on humans. We found the body of a teenage girl with no trace of blood in one of the garbage cans." Ted, who was standing behind Sam, gave a detailed report on the situation. "We need to find them before the situation escalates," Billy warned Sam, emphasizing the urgency of capturing the unknown vampires. Sam nodded in agreement with Billy's statement. Jojo's house. Jenny was busy with her work, while Alex played with his toys that his father had brought him. "Mother, when will Jojo return?" Alex asked his mother with a sad pout, feeling angry because Jojo had left him behind. "He said it was very dangerous, Alex." "You should understand," Jenny sighed, trying to explain. "I am present right in front of you. Why are you guys treating me like a ghost?" Kong, who had been listening to the mother and son conversation, twitched his eye in annoyance. When they were speaking outside the house, 3 figures stood hidden in the forest, grinning mischievously. It was Victoria, Laurent, and James. Just as they were about to make a move, they started hearing howling sounds. More than 10 wolves came running towards them. Asterisk. Author's POV. Thanks for reading the chapter. Please give review for this chapter and Power Stone. Chapter 29, Chapter 28 Wolves vs James, Laurent, and Victoria. When James, Laurent, and Victoria were about to attack the house, they heard a series of howls from behind them in the forest. More than 10 wolves were running towards them in a formation. "What are dogs doing here?" Victoria said with disdain, looking at the wolves. "Shoo, shoo." Laurent mocked the wolves, treating them like street dogs. All 3 of them started to laugh loudly, passing mocking comments as they moved around. The wolves noticed the mockery in the vampire's tone and started to lose their patience, getting ready to attack. Even though vampires are stronger than wolves, the venom of the wolves is very deadly for the cold ones. "Let's teach these dogs who they've messed with," James exclaimed, cracking his knuckles with a wide grin.